GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to the weekly wrap-up. The weekly two-way wrap-up, I guess what we're going to call it. And it's a little late today. I was outside working in the garden and totally forgot about I was thinking a different time. I was thinking 9 p.m., but that's what time it is for the regular show. We do this one early because of the after corking, although we're going to be corking tonight, I imagine. So let's see, whoever shows up live, welcome. Barbecue is out there, DJ's out there. Looks like we missed some of the others that might show up. But we go live every Friday and we take a look at what has been going on in Second Amendment content out there. I'd like to say we look at all the different platforms, but the other platforms don't really have too much to offer. At least from what I've monitored. I'll continue to kind of check up on them. If you know of something good that's happening on some of the other platforms that's focused on 2A, especially if it's not happening here on YouTube, then definitely interested. So what we're going to do is take a look at the description of this video. However, we're going to take a look at it over on our Patreon blog because I just put more effort into it over there. It looks better. I can add pictures and stuff. So we'll just do it over there. And it's basically the exact same thing. It's a little bit bigger than what's on YouTube this week because YouTube only gives us 5,000 characters, and we needed more than 5,000 characters this week. So we will check in on the YouTube side for the poll over there. So I'm going to drop a link to the Patreon blog if you want to check it out. You don't need to be a Patreon to check out the blog. But our Patreons, let's take a moment and thank them. There's a scrolling banner at the bottom of the screen that lets you know the address for the Patreon blog. It's just patreon.com/gunwebsites. And our Patreons are the people that subscribe to what we do. They make it possible for us to keep the servers going, pay for the software, and then most importantly, take the time. So software's, it's hard to say. Time's probably the biggest cost. But we got a bunch of Patreons, 150. Hovers somewhere between 152 and 157 typically. And we appreciate every one of them. They join in at different levels as I'm scrolling through on the screen here. Some of them are as little as like a cup of coffee a month, which helps a lot. And then others throw $20, maybe even $25 at us each month. And that's what keeps the van in the driveway, and it really keeps us on. So we really appreciate the for keeping us going over on Patreon and purchasing things over at the store. It is Free Patch Friday, so let's take a second here at the beginning of the show to mention we do have some new stuff over at the store. A new ghost patch, 3D printed ghost patches. There is no serial number on these things. There is no serial number on them. There's no piece of metal in them even. So as far as we know, they are legal. Oops, that didn't work. So go back to the thing here. Go back to this thing here. And we'll take a look at the poll over on YouTube. So people that are showing up to watch this live, we use the poll feature over here. This week, we're going to use the hashtag feature that I always forget to use. So let's flip this back over to the comments. Let's use hashtag. Let's just use a number like 9. Maybe a couple of M's. And then let's put in a capital SUX. Because of how bad 9mm sucks. And if you type in that hashtag, 9mm sucks, not only do you proclaim your true feelings about the 9mm, but also you'll be entered in this fabulous StreamYard giveaway thing. At least what we'll try to figure out. StreamYard. Boom. Go to StreamYard. When you use the StreamYard, you can get in here, and then just go to /giveaway. Right, and then boom, it comes up. Oh, come on. Must not have typed it in good. So let's try that again. StreamYard /giveaway. And now it'll see that I'm logged in and see which broadcast. I happen to have a bunch of broadcasts in there, so it's asking me which one. I choose it. I type in what hashtag is happening here, and it's going to start collecting them. So far, we got 3 entries. One of them is me. Looks like DJ and barbecue. So they're just going to harvest whatever the free loot is, unless somebody else who's watching live jumps in and participates. But that's all we're going to do over on YouTube. Like I say, oh, too bad. Man, I wish I was up on your neck of the woods going to the castle, but we'll talk about that in a different show on a Thursday, more than likely. I'm not going to read it off of YouTube because look how little it is and it's boring. There's no pictures or no bold, or I can't do nothing except put links in over here. So it's here because we want to have these links to these worthy, this worthy content on YouTube. But let's go watch it over on Patreon. I just dropped a link. I'll make it a little bit bigger so everybody can see it even better. And let's dig into the show. I'll jump back over to YouTube at some point and we'll take a look at the poll. So I guess I just alluded to it. You can use the poll feature over here and vote. How was this week for 2A? Was this a great week? Was this a good week? Was this an okay week? Or come on, man. So right now we only have 7 votes, and so far it's overwhelmingly a great week, although there are some votes for good and okay. If you want to leave some comments about why you like or dislike the week, let me know. I can tell you that it took more than 5,000 characters just to put in all the stuff that happened this week. So if that's any indication. See, this is how I get, that's how you filter. It's called filtering. So that the 9mm lovers just they filter themselves out, so to speak. You can't join twice, I don't think. I don't think capitalization matters. All right, let's get into it. So we feature the best content that focuses on 2A. That's the goal. Like I say, if you know about something that's happening on another platform that's focused on 2A. Now, I define 2A as Second Amendment focused, not gun focused, because gun focused is the toys and the tools, the technology and that kind of stuff. But it's also the FUDs and the borings and the observers. So that's all good, but I'd rather focus on stuff that's all about what our Second Amendment protects and the people that are doing the effort. That's what we focus on. So let's dig in. And like I say, if you're aware of something out there, let us know in the comments, wherever you happen to find this video. We'll talk about later on where all we post this. All right, so first off, this is a bunch of stuff on constitutional carry, and be efforting to keep this up to date. I'm going to put it on Minuteman University, but I'm really thinking about how to spend some time updating Every Second Matters to just become a big scoreboard for all this stuff. Because why not? None of the national level organizations are doing it with like real clarity. They're just, they do stuff. They get people motivated, but I want to just archive it in a nice boring way so it's available for research and just reference. So what we've got is a couple of states that already have their constitutional carry, and I went ahead and updated when their Congress has passed them, if I could find it, when they're governors and who the governor is when they signed it, and then when it actually goes into effect, for a couple of reasons. One, I'm updating Minuteman University to reflect all that, again, just so that it's there for reference. But also, I'm really interested in what people think. This isn't important, right? This isn't urgent or nothing. This is just casual 2A nerd stuff. Alabama passed theirs on, you could say, March 10th. Are they the first? Yeah, everybody will say yeah. Then comes Ohio, March 14th, right? Everybody's like, yeah, sure. March 21st, Indiana's like, we'll do whatever Ohio does. So they do it. And then like yesterday, Georgia's about, they're going to do it next week. If nothing happens, big meteor hits the ground, then Georgia never actually had constitutional carry, right? But they're about to. And we got Nebraska and Minnesota, and am I missing one? So we've got these that got signed, but look when they take effect. January 1st, next year. Alabama, the first to sign, is like, oh, we'll get around to it. You can have your right back later. But everybody wants to call Alabama state number 22. I'm not going to dispute it. I'm just saying, are we allowed to question this, or do we all have to be in lockstep? Then you get Ohio passes it on March 14th. Theirs does. They're waiting until June 12th, which I guess is pretty quick. Indiana comes along and goes, oh, I can't possibly make this go into effect before July. Still way ahead of January next year, right? Yet Alabama's going to go around acting like they're state number 22. Rightfully so, question mark? Or is this big scam? Because look at what's about to happen. Georgia is going to get it next Tuesday. And if what I'm told, it's going to go into effect as soon as, I forget, is that a girl? I forget who the person is that is the governor of Georgia. That's going to happen in April. So I kind of feel like even though Georgia was the last one to actually get around to it, they just short constitutional carried everybody. They constitutional carry corked 3 other states. I'm thinking about going around and saying Georgia is constitutional carry state number 22 and Alabama is 25. Calm down. It's just my opinion. You can do whatever you want with it, but now the information is here so that people can deal with it. Thanks to GA2A, what used to be called Open Carry Georgia? No, Georgia Carry. They rebranded. Everybody's rebranding now. It's totally 2021 to rebrand your national level organizations that have existed for years. So if you're going to do it, this is the year to do it. All right, we'll keep moving on to other things like these 3 bills that are sitting there that are getting a little bit of attention from gun policy. Come here. And one of them removes any other weapons from the NFA. The other one removes short barrel rifles from the NFA. And the other one removes short barrel shotguns from the NFA. Got South Carolina bringing in short barrel shotguns. Kansas bringing in short barrel rifles. And Texas bringing in any other weapons. I feel like, why not do something about this? We got 32 Republican co-sponsors of the 2 of them, and then 57 Republicans co-sponsors of the shotgun one. How'd that happen? How come they're back in the shotgun one? Of all the ones to back, where'd that come from? Is it because of the little firearms that are being sold? You know, the like Remington and Mossberg firearms that are being sold? Is that why? And whatever it is, why isn't anybody researching this? I feel like there should be somebody researching that, especially all the shotgun lovers out there. Oop, my finger slipped. Let's see what's happening out here. I said good because it would have been better because there's always bad crap happening. It's always good crap happening too. 357 Magnum. Okay. Pro-gun is littler, less important than Pro-2A. I can understand that equation. I see that. I see where that comes out. That balances out. I'm in New Jersey. We have no rights. Jersey is New York's stepbrother, copying all their fascist crap. Well, I'm no biologist, but if you're their step sibling, maybe you should hang out with Tony Simon. You know about Tony Simon and the 2A4E project? I don't know. I'm assuming New Jersey isn't very big, so you can just walk over to Tony's house or whatever and hang out and help him out with the 2A for E. John Z is the dude that hung out with me when I went to the Bannerman Castle a couple years back. All right, so I think that's the same John Z. It looks like the same John Z, but a long time no see. Thanks for hanging out. All right, so next up, I got, hold on. How can I be getting a cold in like April? Okay, we'll keep going. Yeah, the shockwaves. So exactly. I don't know if how could those things have affected anything? I really don't think they are. I think it's some fluke. So or maybe old hunters want short shotguns now. No idea. All right, we're getting into the more meat of it, the YouTube stuff, and these aren't necessarily in chronological order as much as order of how good they are this week. So we got Mary taking over for the DC Project Delegate for Connecticut, and Barbecue helping out with interview, and then I don't know. I stuck that one at the top. Mainly because it's been a series and she's been helping Brooke out, and Barbecue has been helping Mary out, and sort of a continuation of a collaboration of projects over there. Doesn't happen very often, so whenever I see it happen, and I'm going to do whatever I can to encourage and help support it, right? So we're going to throw that at the top. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that's going on that's worth supporting, worth helping spread the reach and spread the word on. Connecticut's getting clobbered right now. Maryland just got clobbered. New Jersey gets clobbered quite often. And what do we expect? These advocates that aren't even getting paid, literally unpaid activists, to do all the work while the big organizations just do the same old stuff. They're allowed to do the same old stuff, but we don't have to sit around and just observe, right? So I'm going to put this one up at the top. Then we got Combat Story. Last week, I was listening to the Team House. Team House right now has Ryan Hedrickson on there, but they ran late, so I just barely was listening to some of that, and that's probably why I was screwed up, because I usually listen to an hour of that, and then I start this show, and they started late. So anyway, they did one last week with the ladies from Community Service, I think, and this one was the Afghan Female Tactical Platoon, the FTP, and this is interesting stuff. So it's some of the topics that have changed my mind on females in combat. I've always been anti-females in combat, and I'm still, for the most part, anti-females in combat. However, the big but here is the amazing work that's been done by Community Service and the FTP in this last global war on terror, and showing that they can be useful resources. Obviously, they kind of, well, not obviously, but when you listen to these conversations, you hear about all the fits and starts and pluses and negatives of it all. But, going on and learning and getting better, it's interesting stuff. We have a lot of tactics training, mindset, other things that are surplus from military. We've gotten that literally since the beginning of military training. That stuff trickles down into civilian, into just normal awareness when people get out of the military, or people just read the stuff that's open source that's out there. Until recently, there hasn't been female-oriented tactics or combatives for this at this level, as well as all the other stuff, the real stuff they're doing, counter-terrorism or counter-intelligence and intelligence gathering and stuff, culture stuff that, like I say, it's just never been done before. So they're going to add to the capability a lot, but it's fascinating stuff to listen to. So I'm looking forward to when these ladies get out and start to, let's say, train, start to write books, start to create companies, start to inspire the next generation of little girl kids into the next generation of whatever unit is going to be created to take over the roles that they've established as being necessary for warfare. Pretty neat stuff. And you get to listen to this, not like CBS giving you, or PBS giving you some bullshit warped narrative, but you can listen to it by people who've been there, interviewing chicks that have been there for long format discussions. Totally worth listening to. This one's awesome. She gets into all kinds of, wait a minute, this one is good. The one from Team House is very good also. This one, anyway, I'll keep moving. these are definitely worth checking out. Both Combat Story and Team House have playlists for just the female interviews, and they're both worth listening to, consuming the entire playlists, literally. All right, next up is Locked and Loaded Latinos did an episode on Sunday again, and it was a normal, it was an episode. So let's see, they chatted a little bit, I think, about the video games again. I need to start writing notes. But they're, they got their Florida, like we were talking about earlier. So, we didn't talk about it earlier. Florida is one of the other ones, Florida and Nebraska. So they were talking about the chances of and the potential and why and that kind of thing, which is interesting because not a lot of stuff comes out. Well, there's a lot of stuff in Florida, but not a lot of stuff that's paying attention to it. Well, that I pay attention to. Brooke was on Saturday. Let's see, talking about the children. I could probably open up these things. I'm not going to do that this week, but let me know in comments if I should. I could open these things up and look at my comments. I usually leave comments about whatever topic was going on, especially if I thought there was something worth repeating. Half the time when I make a comment, it's to reiterate some point that somebody made in the chat so that they get to say it again so that it doesn't get lost, right? And then also so that there's text of that in the in the comments, in the text chat. And if I do that, let's say I go to, let's show you what I'm talking about. Let's say I go to my YouTube channel. Let's just take a field trip. You don't need a note or nothing. You can just go. We're just going to walk over there. It's one of them kind of field trips. It's a field trip, but you got to walk there. So we're going to go over here and we're going to go to the community tab, which is where we can share the other people in our community and stuff. So if we scroll down that list a ways, you'll find like this. No, let's find like this one from Clover or this one from Tusk. What I'll do is link to it, and then while it's happening, I'll leave some comments or whatever if it's an interesting conversation. And I'll sometimes take those comments and shove them over here into the link on my community tab. And then it just creates some more words on the internet with some of these keyword phrases and then timestamps and that kind of thing. Not necessary, just something you can do if it's like doodling with that gives you some feedback or some payback. So I probably do that with Brooks thing, but I'm not going to do that on this show except for to illustrate it there. I'm not going to do that with everyone. But the reason I highlight these shows isn't because anybody's paying me or because I got some kind of relationship going where I don't think any of these people even, they say thanks or whatever when I say something, but none of them are, there's no reciprocal stuff here. This is because there's a lot of stuff happening out there, and the stuff that gets through my filter is the stuff that's accumulating. This people that are laying down bricks, not for a wall, but for a stairway, so that the next generation can stand from a height and get some perspective on what's been happening. So, that's all of these things are worthy of probably sitting down and having a conversation about. I know that this one, he explains the Homo sapiens projectile club. This is Professor David Yamane talking about his t-shirt that the liberal gun owners are selling. So if you want to buy one, you got to buy it from the liberal gun owners. Anyway, they say Homo sapiens projectile club in kind of a beard cream looking logo. And he explains in this video that it's supposed to be the idea that cavemen were winging rocks around, and then later on there was an atlatl. Everybody likes saying atlatl. If you say atlatl at your dog enough times, they'll get sick of you saying it. Then they had bow and arrows and all the other things, right? So the idea is that you're supposed to tell somebody who's anti-gun, well, it's no big deal because projectiles have been winged around in violence for all of time. I mean, it sounds good, but if you've never had a conversation with an anti before, it might sound good on paper, but in real life, antis don't have that confrontation gene. That gets taken care of by somebody else magically and you don't need slings and slingshots for that. You can accomplish that with slingshots being banished. Somebody else will take care of safety. They don't understand the wishy-washiness or the mushiness of some people's arguments when you get into these kind of things. But it's interesting to see the professor who's had a lot of different experience than me, and he's efforting in educating these highly educated liberal minds and stuff. He's taken them down the, oh, when is this thing still on? He's taken, am I even talking this whole time? Am I still connected? You guys hearing me? Okay, yeah, it says remove. I just noticed that my screen was being weird over here. But he's talking to these people, and he's taking them down the, oh, it's okay because it's always been okay. And I'm curious to see. I actually asked him if he thinks that they're going to flip-flop on him. And he said, oh, no, why would they flip-flop on me? Okay, thanks. Oh, G23 is out there. Good evening. There's Clover Tack out there. All right, so worth listening to. I'm liking the series. You know, I'm taking it with a grain of salt. Low sodium salt substitute. It's better for you. Then we get to Riding Shotgun with Charlie with Meet the Pressers doing that collaborative show. 2 channels are bringing people on that they've each already interviewed and doing a second follow-up interview together as a 3-way interview. And they're also giving away stuff. It's worth listening to. It's a way to get, I like having second interviews with, or participating in second interviews, because the people aren't just introducing their stuff, and they're not just, you know, what do we say, like on a tour to promote something. It's often just a way to kind of, hey, to expand on whatever we talked about before. Hey, we talked before, but let's expand on that, or let's talk more about this or that. So it was like that. And we had an opportunity to ask a couple of questions, and then they just kind of riffed. Also, it gives you a chance when people know each other a little bit better. Those first interviews can be awkward. Look at anybody who's new to interviews or only ever does introduction interviews. They never get a chance to be comfortable with people, and it affects their interview style. For one, they become people who only are ever awkward with people. Like, they'll always be weird, my opinion. But oops, I was just gonna do this again. Yeah. Do that and do that again. So I appreciate that they're doing this whole concept of a second interview. And KD has the Train and Learn event coming up in May, a Memorial Day weekend. It's in Missouri, and it's an up-training, skilled building community event like no other. There are a couple of other events that are in this vein. I call them Second Amendment advocacy workshops. There's the AmCon, which I guess is free, but it pales in comparison. It's just let's stand around and talk. Then there's the Ambassador Academy, which is $3,500, probably well worth it, but a whole level, different level, $3,500. The Train and Learn is 3 days, and it's $350. So it's 3, not intensive days, but 3 inclusive days, because they hang out and they do, is it fraternity? Maybe I should start using that word. It's organized so that you're not just there to get workshops and go home, but you're there to participate and come out as part of a group. So it's interesting, and it's not like a multi-level marketing. There's no obligation that I'm aware of. I know a couple of people that have gone to it and didn't care for it and never participated again. I don't believe there's been any kind of obligation. It's just that there is a opportunity for people to grow and gain by sharing resources and working together. And a lot of these collaborative situations are focused on the money or focused on the I don't know, somebody's goals, and bringing together a bunch of people who have the skill sets to accomplish those goals. And what you end up with is a machine to sell you something, or a machine to try to influence for maybe political reasons, I guess. But I think they're mostly just there to sell you coffee, or to sell you t-shirts, or to sell you some kind of non-expensive garbage that you can send in the mail easy, and can create a brand, like a Harley Davidson type of brand around. So if you are a fan of that, then you might as well do it with guns, I guess. But if you're not into that end of it, I think Train and Learn offers something that there is nothing else out there doing it, and hopefully it'll inspire others. But until then, I'll keep shouting it out because it's a pretty cool event. I know a couple of people that have gone to it now. Like I say, some have hated it, I think, and others have really, really dug it. Some go back year after year. All right, next up is the machine gun nest. Paying attention to, well, they're in Maryland, but they're paying attention to Maryland. Nobody else is. But the Polymer 80s are Maryland's getting wailed on with the Polymer 80s already, and they're suggesting it's the canary in the coal mine potentially. Definitely worth watching their videos. It's a cool shop, and it's a gun shop that, yeah, they want you to buy stuff from their shop, I'm sure, but they're also in the community and aware of that, and they're participating. And again, it's an inspiration. Maybe there's some way to point other gun shops at it, or the person who's in charge of the internet or something at gun shops to say, hey, look what Machine Gun Nest is doing, especially if you're a content creator or a wannabe content creator, or you're a content creator that would like to do more. Consider pointing a gun shop that you'd like to work with at the Machine Gun Nest in some kind of creative way. Clover might be able to help you out with a creative way to get in contact with somebody. But letting them know, hey, I could do that. Do you have any way that we could work together on that and get something going, potentially? All right, next up is armed attorneys, these lawyers out of Texas. And they did this one about 2A sanctuaries, whether or not it's a scam. Some of their, I'm still on the fence with them. Some of their headlines are sort of trendy headline grabbing, I guess. Some of their videos are right on point and addressing things that other channels don't bother to address or can't address because they're not lawyers. So I dig them. But this one, I don't know. I think that people that don't like sanctuaries, 2A sanctuaries, are maybe only looking at the black and white results on paper. But if you're only looking at that and you're not paying attention to the success in or the learning opportunities, even failures. I mean, some people think failures are just failures. Those are people that only fail once and never do anything again. But people that are successful understand that failures are just blueprints for what not to do and opportunities to learn and, what to do next time kind of thing. And when you've got that kind of motivation and point of view on things, these 2A sanctuaries, I see them as successful accomplishments that people got together and championed for something that wasn't an obvious win. Anybody can sell an obvious win that's going to happen, but to take something and say, let's do something anyway, that's worth doing occasionally. It's not the only thing we should be doing, but I'm an advocate for, we're pocket knives. We're Swiss Army knives. We're not some kind of single blade sheath knife that can only do one thing occasionally and gets dangerous the rest of the time. We're multifunction tools, and we can adapt. We can be used for lots of purposes, and we don't have to necessarily be single task. We can do lots of things at one time. It's the advantage of not having one Bloomberg telling us one set of marching orders. All right, I'll keep going because then they were on Clover, this guy earlier, yesterday. Good conversation. Got to not just get questions answered because, some questions are going to be weird or misunderstood, or, they're going to spin off or whatever. You don't get a chance to ask them, or Clover refuses to address a question or something. It's just the nature of an hour and something interview. But what you also get to handle themselves live, because anybody can go do a produced video and record it and then give it to an editor, some kind of airbrushist who makes you look all great, and it takes away all your ums and ahs and all your errors and stuff so that it looks like you're some kind of AI robot. But going live, it's a lot tougher to be fake. So it really seemed like they were legit and not fake. But we'll listen to Clover and see what he thinks. Let's see. Then we had Clover also interviewed the Hold My Guns in his series. I think he said he has one more coming up with the My Medic, something like that, or some medic. Let's see. Then we got The Reload, which is an hour-long podcast. You can listen to the Hour Log podcast if you subscribe to their project. You're keeping a couple of, seems like 2 or 3 maybe, researchers and writers going. They do different kind of research than Crump, but in a similar vein, mostly writing, it seems like, for the brain nerds that like to read everything. But then they also do this 1-hour video where they talk about it. It's not my favorite thing, but it's refreshing and different. Well, it's not refreshing. It's different. It's refreshing that it's not the same old stuff, but it's sometimes the same old stuff in a different wrapping. But it's better than some of the other stuff that's out there, so I've been watching it. Might want to check it out. Let me know what you think. This time they're talking about Florida. Going around calling it permitless carry. That right away bugs me. But I don't know. You think, Clover, is that some sort of keyword thing? Like you're gonna call it permitless in your title because that's got better search engine, blah blah blah, or is it a we don't want to offend anybody? Why did they put permitless in their title? Or is it just because the article they're talking about used it? Being on the other channel isn't necessarily a bad thing. What if I were to flip over right now and go to my main channel? How do I do that? I guess I go down here and I open this in a new window, and that takes me to my YouTube channel. And then I immediately flipped over to, come on, man. Seriously? What's going on with this? I slip over to my channels page where the first chunk of subscribers are, and then I flip over to the Gun Show channel. Hey, Steven out there? There's Steven. Then I jump to the Daily Gun Show, and then I go to the Daily Gun Show, and then I go, there's only one person watching here. Eventually, then I do this, and then this, and then there's a 20-second challenge, and then I go over here. Can I do it? And then I got I think I deleted it. There used to be a thing that goes dink, 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 dink. It was a bunch of times. Or is that permanent? Or I think I deleted it. Yeah, I deleted it. It doesn't exist. Oh, wait, maybe it's on another thing. Let me jump over to Van Chat. Boom. That's how you adapt, overcome, make it happen, and G23 just won. So I owe you nothing? Do I got stuff on the way to you? Because now you just got more stuff. Let's see. Let me figure out where my mouse is so that I can bring it back over here. I gotta come back over here, go back to here, I think. Yeah. And go back to here. So yeah, G23 just jumped over to the other channel and won because nobody else is over there. Okay, well, I tell you what, since I'm cheap, next time I'm sending you something, I'm going to throw you in one of our new fiddling around with. I haven't figured out, it's not done yet. This is the first prototype, but if I can get this thing to do this, oh, and then remove this. What? A 3D printed patch? Is this even legal? There's no serial number on it, and there's no chunk of metal in it. This could go through an X-ray machine. What? And there's Velcro on the back? Don't look at this part. It's a prototype. And it's orange thread? What? That's like high production stuff that's only made in overseas. Sweatshops. Nope. Made it here in Tucson, our own sweatshop. So G23 is going to be a proud owner of one of them, or an owner. If he wants to be proud of it, that's his business. Then we'll put this back on, and well, that's creepy. Let's cut. It's weird to look at your own hand. So let me not look at my whole hand, wiggle around, and get back over here. And we're not even halfway through this thing probably, so let's keep going. So thanks G23 though for mentioning that we are simulcasting this. Technically, this is the Friday episode of the Daily Gun Show. We go live daily at midnight normally each night, weeknight, and chat about guns and other things. All right, so yeah, thanks. You got it. G23 goes live on Saturdays. In fact, I think I missed it in here because I was just going through at the last minute. We got to put Every Second Matters in here. So let's go do that real quick. Jumping back over to the YouTubes. Jumping back over to open this in a new tab, I guess. I think it'll just be easier to go to here. And G23 took over Our Second Matters last week, 170 views. Thanks for doing that. I'll be adding that to the thing at the end here. That's one of the problems. I had been posting it in YouTube and then it stopped accepting new characters because I had reached the limit. So I brought it over here to Patreon and I missed Every Second Matters. I think that's the one I was on. And then I was going through here and I have the picture for Every Second Matters. And I was like, wait, I don't have the link in here. So I'll be adding the link here probably up above because these are in order of how 2A they are. So Every Second Matters is pretty 2A. All right, so we were just talking about the reload, worth listening to. In fact, I think there was a video for the reload that went live this week when I was doing the people I met at SHOT Show and had signed the book. So I'm pretty sure those are one that went live with the guy from the reload. All right, then we get the Polite Society podcast. For some reason, I put it in here. Something must have happened down there that was so good. I don't know who might have been in there. I don't know if people listen to the daily or to the Polite Society podcast one anymore, at least from this group. Then we got the Get Off My Lawn was last night with Sandhills. Then this one with Crump where Tusk was on again. And it was a Crump interview, so they chatted about other stuff and then they chatted about Tusk a bit as well. Let's see. And sounds like they're working on still getting the NFTs to be affordable so that it can be a actual useful coin instead of a hype coin. It's a practical, like useful type of coin. Jenny J 1911, been watching that channel. She's been going live and sharing her journey. It's super interesting to see these adults who are getting into guns, getting advice from other adults who are still getting into guns and what they decide to use and the different groups that are out there. There's quite a few of them and their attitudes and opinions. I think Jenny is more interested in rifles and reloading. So that kind of realm or those spheres of the community or those whatever areas, corners. I don't know if they're corners of the community, but those areas of the community. Let's see. Then we had, and then she was on with Affordable Armory, who I think met up with Clover and Ghost at the POMA event earlier this year. So up and coming gear review type of channel. They're still coming. So you would think, there's already a ton of those. Like, nope, they're still coming. You got Wanamaker. Santee was at Wanamaker this year, and she's been doing a couple of videos, included it basically the Wanamaker experience in her normal routine of videos. But it's awesome, again, watching somebody who's new to gun shows at that level for sure, go into the show and sharing it and going live and sharing it. It's not fake prepared video where it's like, here's the 3 or 4 things that I want to talk about. Instead, it was just, let's talk for a couple, an hour, just answering random questions and answering random questions and that kind of thing. A lot of fun. One of the reasons gun shows are so awesome, they bring people together, right? They're that First Amendment right to assemble, free press and free speech is in there. That's neat. Second Amendment's a given. But what's that right to assemble all about? It's so that people can hang out together and realize that we're all just regular, and that's the hype that is trying to divide everybody. The only thing that divides people in reality is like measuring systems, things that make the people dumb. Like, oh, you can't figure out 12, even though everybody in all the time has been able to figure out other number systems. Let's go to the number system 10 randomly because of what a bunch of Europeans think waterways. No. How about let's go with what somebody's hand was a long time ago and a grain of rice or something, because that makes more sense on a planet than what you think water weighs, Your Majesty. So if you like the, what is that called? Kings and Queens? What are those people called? Oh, I forget what that's called now. Anyway, if you like that stuff, then you'll like metric. If you don't like being a subject, then you'll like regular. So anyway, somehow I got into that from gun shows. Now let's go right back into metric, probably, because it's this old Meigs prototype rifle, although it probably wasn't in metric. Anyway, so now it's Clover talking about the show. He only posted like a couple of videos. This was an interesting one, though. Talking about a rifle that had 10 rotating magazines in the stock, and it was, I forget, 50 round repeater. So 5 10-round magazines that rotated in the stock in the olden days. So like in the times of, was it Civil War? It was a long time ago. Yeah, monarchies. Thank you. That's what I was trying to think of. I couldn't think of it. For some reason, I couldn't think of monarchies in my 2A chat. All right, this is what happens when I got just keep going like this without any co-hosts or any kind of breaks. I should probably put a commercial on while I do this. All right, so Clover also runs another channel called YouTuber Academy, where he insists on helping people for free. And I guess I didn't watch this one yet, but this is some analytics that will get you monetized. It's probably worth watching since it's only 2 minutes long. It's not that much of a burden on your time, and if it pays you, then win-win. Speaking of winning, right after the tactical quiz on Wednesdays is the Wednesday night mouse party, and this was party number 2, so that was pretty fun. Anybody wants to show up kind of overnight in the middle of the week, hang out and just general chat, hosted by Foss and the crew, whoever shows up. Basically, it's kind of a random mix. Let's see, we went live on Saturday. We always do, to do the Ask Gun Questions project, where we answer questions that have come into the askgunquestions.com website. This week, I took some time, though, to go over the Ring of Fire gun project or research that I did a long time ago. And one, to kind of go through it and refresh my memory on some of it. And then also just to reiterate the way that particular saga, I don't know what to call it, like that continuing part of our community or industry, whatever that is, applies. It has so much application to the other aspects of guns all over the place. Manufacturing, who should own them, how they should be distributed, the costs, supply and demand, the laws at the national and state level, persecution, holy moly, the chemistry, the gunsmithing of them, the way that they get distributed and the way that they're dealt with at gun shows or gun shops, the way that people characterize them and describe them, and how that's been used against us and how we don't learn. It's just such an interesting thing. So I guess we went on for 3 hours, and I could probably go on every weekend if there was some sort of a reason to do it. But as far as making a special episode of Ask Gun Questions, give us some feedback on that. If it's worth doing it, I suspect I could probably do that on a couple other things I'm interested in. And then we have 3 other co-hosts there. I don't know what Tony's all interested in, but I bet you it's something. Clover, I'm aware of a couple of different things that he's interested in. I could probably talk him into expounding, what's the word? Going off on them. And I know for a couple of things that Dan Todd is interested in. If I can get him to show up, I don't guess Saturday isn't a good day for him, but we'll continue to give him a link. And like I say, we'll have potentially some more focus shows where we just dig into some of our interests or interests of the people that are asking questions. I guess I haven't ever looked at the list of questions over there and done any kind of filter or sort to see, are they all this or that or the other thing? Like, are they all a bunch of 9mm questions? Are they all a bunch of shotgun questions? Who knows? There's hundreds of them though, so it'd be an interesting thing to data sort or whatever that's called. I mentioned the tactical quiz a couple of times. This was week 2 of season 2. The undisputed second week in a row winner, DJ Play Nice. What? This guy, the Monarch. He's calling himself the Monarch. So, yeah, second week in a row, just wiped the floor with the other players. How do you get to be a player? Well, if you're a YouTube channel member, we throw a link out. If you're a Patreon, supporting the projects with Patreon, you're going to get a link. And then those people who join live play for or with or in association with the folks who want to participate from on that side of the internet, your side of the internet. So if you're not a Patreon and refuse to be a YouTube channel member, that's not a problem. You can still play the tactical quiz. We go live on Wednesdays and we play 3 hands of tactical quiz, three rounds of 10, and hopefully it's a good time. There are prizes, and we could take a look at that right now. Actually, let's. Who wants to take a look at some of the prizes from the tactical quiz? Who am I going to set these things on? I need to set them on something here. Let me see if I can. Oh, wait a minute. First, let me do this. And then get them over here without spilling them all over. Yep, I did it. And then I'm going to grab this thing so that it looks better. And you can see it, and I can spread them out. Right there, and like that. Oh, and the microphone thing is getting in the way. Put that underneath of there. All right. All right. First off, if you're on any kind of heart medication, or if you're a pregnant lady, you may want to have some kind of a filter, some kind of a buffer, so that you don't get too excited here. How am I gonna get something under here? I'll shove my. No, I'm gonna use my phone, so I'm gonna shove this thing under here. All right, I believe we're now set up. Oh, I gotta get the camera back over. All right. Is everybody ready for this? This is about to happen. There it is, and then there it is. All right, so it's in focus, just like the big time professionals. So look at this. Thanks to Foss. Is he out there? He doesn't really show up for this show. Pope's Gizzard is probably now after corking me at this point. But Foss sent me this Tutti Frutti spiral color, changey color filament stuff, right? So it goes from different colors to different colors. This is the order they printed, from gold to other colors and then green, right? So it's kind of neat. You can spread them out like this and they look all neat. Kind of like a box of crayons a little bit. Thing of paints, maybe. Makeup. That kind of person put makeup on. But what I figured out by doing math is you can do this. How many have we got here? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 21. That's a good number to have. 21 is 3 sevens, or 7 threes, no, 3 sevens, or 4 fives, or 5 fours. I like 5 fours. So let's try 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go with 4 fives. So there's 4. See where we're going now? So that was top to bottom. And now we go from top 2, 3, 4, top to bottom. Now we go from top to bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're now into the blue. Top to bottom. We're still in the blues, kind of a deeper, shinier blue. And then doot, with one left over that's green. And look what you end up with now. 4 sets of 5 color sets. They're all a little bit different, but they're all kind of a set. So when I first started printing these, I only had a couple, and I was going to use them as the series of tactical quiz winners. So it would, in other words, be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 week after week. But then what happens? You get some random shift in all this stuff. So then I was thinking I spread it out in some sort of a system like this, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a lot easier to accomplish, right? And then I get 1, 2, 3 more sets like that to do things with. So that's what I'm thinking of doing. So that was part of the tactical quiz. So DJ definitely owns this one. Done and said and done. He may own this one, or he may own this one at this point already. One of those two for sure. Hasn't been decided which one. Maybe if he's got a preference, then we'll take that into consideration. And then we'll move from there. But otherwise, that was something I came up with as I was taking pictures of these things and trying to figure out a way to make it where these things are actually achievable. Otherwise, you'd have to somehow win 21 tactical quizzes in a row. 21 weeks. That's a half a year of tactical quizzes in order to win all these. Plus, this prize might get boring for people. Some people might not even want an 80%, or no, sorry, a plastic ghost patch. So here, let me finish grabbing these things up. Make sure that we still got them in that rainbow set. So some of them figured it out. And where'd that other thing go? Let me go grab something else real quick since we got the cameras on. I don't know what happened there, but yeah, so we put these things up because these are going to be going on the store this weekend. So preview for somebody who wants to see, for anybody that wants to see something that's headed up to the store this weekend. There's a lot of talk about 80% lowers and 80% kits. Well, we're going to start an 80% patch kit. So you're going to get everything that's necessary, no serial numbers. Sure, we're going to keep your name in a database, but that's no big deal. And then we'll keep your phone number and address in there, but that's no serial number. So these will be going up on the store, 80% patches, sometime this weekend. Okay, now we turn this off. All right, let me put all this stuff up. Let me get back to the show here. Put this back in. All right, there we go. All right, so tactical quiz was hopefully some fun. We'll continue to do it, and as more people show up, it should get exponentially funner because of the math. And I just got to set this way over there. And I didn't knock everything over. These knock over way easier than regular patches because they stack like a bunch of dominoes. Wait, what? Nobody's supposed to see these. How can you have giant patches like this? What? All right, back to it. Back to Instagram, heading over there. Got a little image this time. See how much nicer it is over on Patreon. They get a little image of what's happening over on the Instagrams. Wrapping it up under the Instagram, we got the poll. So we're watching that over here We got 14 votes. Looks like out of 1443, so that's just under, that's probably 6 votes for it was great week. That means there's, can it be 3? Could it be 5, 2, 2, and 1? I don't know. But no, it can't be that. But anyway, there's 1 maybe vote for Come On Man. If anybody who really thinks that, throw in the comments. Because if we're missing something, we want to be like optimistic while the sky's falling. But on the other hand, be skeptical of the people that are getting paid to tell you the sky's falling, right? So we're going to head over to Instagrams, and there you see the first page that we've got over there. But what we're really looking at is what other people are doing on Instagrams. So I'm going to zoom in a bit so we can see it easier. And then click on saved. And this is where you can see what other people, or where you can see what people have clicked on to save on the Instagram. And I'm going to attempt to go back a week. This is the FST. So, well, here's the Maryland one. Did we talk about that last week? Did we talk about Dragon Man last week? We usually talk about Dragon Man. So I'm pretty sure we talked about how Dragon Man was starting last Sunday, and I don't think I posted too much because I did see a couple of videos describing videos from Dragon Man describing the first tour, but I haven't watched them. So my bad. I would just be jealous because I wasn't able to get up there. But here we go. Maryland, SB 387, a bill to ban ghost guns has been sent to the governor's desk. So here's FPC talking about it. But if you remember earlier, we also mentioned that the machine gun nest had also been talking about it and how it applies on a bigger scale to the rest of the country. This one, why did I put this one in here? Oh, because of this. One more law could have prevented this. Newsom, probably. That's the kind of snarky stuff that hopefully gets through once in a while to people out there that think they're better than everybody, right? At least that's, I'm assuming, what the snarkiness gets to. You know me, I'm not much of the border. In fact, if you listen to anything I've done historically, I've always been more of about malls having commerce with the southern border with Mexico. But what's been happening lately is not the norm, or is not immigration. This is refugee / manufactured situation, and there's people exploiting tragedy, right? Like people having bad times. So let's listen to a guy who started out in Texas as, for many years, the head of the Texas Rangers, head of the state police, and head of international crime for the state of Texas for a while. And now he runs a thing called Tripwires and Triggers, which is basically Southern international border awareness, so that people understand the scale of what's happening compared to in the past. People used to run around with their heads cut off because of what was happening in the past, and it has gotten well beyond multiple times what it used to be. So lots of stuff happening, and here's a quick listen to, this is a minute, we'll see how long of it we'll listen to here.
U.S. Customs and Border Protection, now these are preliminary, so they'll change just a little bit when they're finalized, but we're breaking the story this morning nationwide on Newsmax. Ladies and gentlemen, for the month of March, U.S. Customs and Border Protection have apprehended 217,107 people. Gotaways stand and
well, that was about as shitty as you can get. But basically, 17,000 apprehensions. 200,000 people were stopped by Border Patrol and dealt with. What does that cost? What does that cost to the souls of everybody involved in that? There's nothing good about that at all. 66,000 getaways. So that's when they know they may even laid hands on the person, but they just kept walking, or they captured 12 and they saw 2 keep going. So there's 66,000 that they definitely couldn't control, walked right in. the idea is to get people numb to it and to to create situations that are difficult to solve. So let's just be aware. I'm not going to solve it tonight, but one of the channels I watch, I can tell you Tucson is different since when I first moved here. And I suspect some of that has to be because, well, Border Patrol puts up elaborate infrastructure, but some of that infrastructure is for like their vehicles and their own support and their own, whatever they are, like giant buildings. They're not barracks or whatever they are, meeting rooms or I don't know, briefing rooms or something, but maybe CSI rooms. I have no idea what Border Patrol does, but they're internal, like for Border Patrol, like only Border Patrol people go in there. And then there's all other facilities around here that are being bought by this national government or rented to the national government from the state or the city. And they turn up these like giant tents that we would normally use to run the big swap meets or big events in. Like a big weekend event will be held in a giant tent out here. If they can't afford to build a giant building, they'll just put up a giant kind of semi-permanent tent. And that's what the Border Patrol is putting up. And those are for people. Those are for the humans that are being, exploited and pushed around and told to come up here or told or forced to come up here. There's so many stories, 217,000 stories this month alone. Those are all humans. Those are all people that aren't numbers. They're not nothing. So that's interesting stuff that's happening, and there's tons of stuff that's happening, and there's tons of stuff taking attention, but this is one of them. Can't solve it, just going to make people aware. Next up is Walk Talk America, and this is an interesting one because they do good work, and they are in a unique position compared to other organizations, and they do a unique thing, and they act in unique ways. And it's probably because of their influence with medical, or it's just because Mike and Jake are just, different people come into the mix. But I thought this was interesting. It's just a simple, thing in their colors of their organization, these two green colors. We're always looking for new corporate partners, just real simple statement, I guess. And then it says comment with any brands you think we should reach out to. Somebody typed in the coffee company, but they put this up 4 days ago, got a couple of likes, including mine, but I didn't put anything in here. I couldn't think of anything at the time that would be appropriate, but it's cool. I like it. And it gets people, I think Crump will do this occasionally too, to let people know when he's open for a sponsorship or something. You can't expect people to be interested in supporting something that you're doing if you don't let them know you're open and willing and in need of support. So when organizations are doing this in creative ways, again, I think it's worth acknowledging and sharing, because this is something that anybody could do, not just Walk Talk America. Of course, they are doing stuff with. Well, that sounded weird. My laptop fan is making a noise. It's almost, this one is gun policy, doing their thing, making fun of Hog. So I can't tell if that kid is a distraction, a diversion, a diversionary tactic, or if they don't have control, or if, again, this is just a tactic. It's hard to say. But it looks like Hog said something like, I'm so frustrated. You can do everything right, and you can turn out as many voters as possible. You can bring the NRA to the weakest position it's been in decades, and still these politicians do not give an F word. It's absolutely heartbreaking. So I guess like you got to swear, because that's how you know you're like legit and you're from the streets or whatever. And then he's got his little flower there, so that's how you know he's like still cares or something. But then, and he says heartbreaking, so it's so heartbreaking, he's got to swear about it. And then FPC comes along and says it's almost as if the decades of anti-gun rhetoric that said the NRA is the cause of literally every pro-gun thing that ever happens isn't true. So it's like they want it both ways, and FPC is calling them out on it. I don't know. You got to read all this. I'm just putting it up there as an example of the kind of battle that's happening out there. People get frustrated at Instagram, and I can understand why. This is sort of not like a thing that I would like burn down Instagram about, but This is sort of stupid and boring. And did it even tell me? It used to tell you 9,000 people liked it. So it's just depressing. Like, it's just, they're going to throw rocks at each other. It's like monkeys throwing mud at or poop at each other. So I only put it in here because I want to use it, but I'm pulling it out. I'm not trying to highlight that one necessarily. FBC gets my support, but I'm not going to support every post they put out there. Rebecca Schmoyer, one of the Kansas Second Amendment activists. I'm not a biologist, but I would call her a girl. She puts out this one. She puts out these word ones all the time. I think this is an example of a good word one. This is like for those folks that like to get up and read some kind of inspirational thing in the morning, I think. And this one says, politicians are evil and corrupt. So what are you doing about it? Nothing? Still just complaining? Or it says nothing, just complaining still? That's all you're doing? And how does that help? And I definitely get that frustration occasionally too. And you can feel that way when you're in a state that's either, getting wailed on or neglected or apathied. But whatever, it's not going to end. You just got to get used to not everybody giving a shit about everything that happens. But at the same time, do stuff, right? Let's do it. Who's with me? All right, next up is Combat Story, talking about the female tactical platoons again, the FTPs. So this is chicks from like wherever that were literally getting their asses kicked. Their families are getting wailed on. So they're like, hey, let's join and do something. And then like 5 minutes later, they're hanging out with Delta and doing awesome things that cost millions of dollars. And people would be creaming in their jeans to even listen to the stories these ladies have done. Like, it's pretty neat. And then if you go read some of this stuff, it's pretty funny. So you can learn, or you can stay thinking that we still do things like we did in Vietnam or something. Let's see. Next up is the philosopher, and this one is an infographic with the Congress and some kind of a bar graph and somebody getting fleeced. And it says, never forget that congressional members invest in the stock market while writing legislation in favor of their investments. Back in the olden days, that would have been like, they can't do that. Like, that's unscrupulous. They're not supposed to do that. If they're doing it, we should be holding them accountable. And I think they even were held accountable, or at least they did this stuff in secret in the day. I think that's a little bit tougher now to suggest that that's not being done. And I think that this is an angle that we have yet to pursue well. We fight about it and complain about it, but we don't do much more than just observe this. This is fact. This is stuff that they can't hide from without letting go of all the money. So why not do the same tactics that are often used against others on, they're one of their tactics. I'm not usually one for just holding tit for tat, but at the same time, if they've got a tactic that they're willing to use, then throw it right back at them when it's appropriate. And in this case, the flaunting of wealth by those who are making the decisions that suggest that the wealthy are the cause of everything seems super ironic. And again, isn't really being exploited except for by a couple of people who don't do anything about it. They just complain about it. That was a good infographic, though. It's getting the word out there. This one's from Colion Noir saying, one day you're going to look up and ask, where did all my 2A rights go? And the criminal robbing you at gunpoint will say, you gave them up one mass shooting at a time. So, I don't know. What are you going to do? You're not going to tell this dude what to do, but you can observe what he's doing and then wonder why dudes at the top level are repeating stuff that happened in like 2015. At least they're moving. At least there's people out there. He's, going to these people that like fancy cars and expensive guns and weird music and mixing them all together and making little commercials or whatever they do. I mean, those people dig this. So if he's getting them to be 2A, awesome. But I don't know how big that demographic is. Is this all a bunch of kids that made a bunch of money on the Bitcoins? Is this a bunch of lawyers? A bunch of like people that live in cities? I don't know. I'd like to see the consequences or the results of it. Started out working for NRA and then jumped away, right? And then I'd say he's held his own, and he didn't leave. He didn't just take off, and he kept doing stuff, and he's doing good. He's not able to do things at a grassroots when you're not grassroots anymore, or he never was. So he's not really pushing the lawyer thing. He's pushing the like lifestyle thing. But again, I don't know. I don't know if it's ulterior motive, like let's push this lifestyle thing and then slide some 2A in there, or is it just throw some 2A on there for virtue signaling? Let me know what you think. I shouldn't smack the laptop. I could just smack the fan. Next up is an NRA one, and that is somebody, I don't know who this is, says half the states go all in on constitutional carry. COVID actually turbocharged the constitutional carry movement. Exceptional deterrent to violent crime. I don't know what this is supposed to be. I guess what it is NRA taking credit for constitutional carry movement in the last 3 or 4 states that took constitutional carry across the finish line. But what the hell? Does this make sense to anybody? I guess if you know who this person is in the cartoon, maybe that's a famous person and I'm just totally unaware. And maybe it makes more sense, like if I was in the know, but it just seems like such a weird thing, like the weirdest post ever. And then it goes, link in bio. The media is happy to sweep this news right under the rug because it just doesn't fit their narrative. You have half the country with constitutional carry and the law-abiding people are following the law while the criminals continue to ignore. So I guess NRA ILA's person is Jason, whatever that omelet. And this is just such a crappy post. So I'm undoing it and I'm unliking it. I don't hate the NRA. I don't love the NRA, but I'm unliking that post because I don't like that post. This one is hilarious. So you're welcome. Watch it again. Little puppy hanging out in the corner, minding his business. The people leaves. He's like, yeah, you people, get out of here. That's awesome. And then we got Gabby Franco, the most active chick in 2A. I don't know. Are you allowed? It would be sexist for me to put up a poll somewhere of the most effective and most active chicks in 2A. So everybody else is going around and making posts. What is that called? Preaching to their choirs or singing to the choir or doing whatever they're doing to their choir. And then there's Gabby Franco just finishing an interview in Spanish with Univision to talk about Sacramento. As expected, many politicians are using this event to once again call for more control. However, they do not address how the failed leftist policies keep criminals and embolden. So how many people, we're just talking about the border a minute ago, 217,000 apprehensions, 66,000. We've seen them just keep walking type of situations. Those are humans. Those are people have stories again. And just think that they're all something is wrong. So who's out there reaching to them? And if you're coming to this country, like at least my great grandparents did, for the freedom that the country offers, then what I'm saying, those are resources. They think they're resources for their side. But who said that? Why can't they all be pro 2A activists? Because they're coming from countries where they understand what 2A is. You think they're walking up here just for money? Or to be able to live in a place where that money provides them a life of liberty, where they can be free. And Gabby's out there doing more work than anybody in some regards. Then we got Ken Blanchard. I guess he's turning 60, so he's a couple years older than some of us, maybe a couple years younger than some of y'all. But he's trying to get a birthday present of some kind of guitar, and he's doing a crowdfunding to do it. If you're interested, there's the GoFundMe /u, so whatever, /2ZM9G2. So I just said it so everybody else would use it from a phone or whatever. But Ken Blanchard's awesome dude, CIA, firearms instructor, advocate, writer, and then mentor and inspiration for at least a couple of generations of 2A activists since the 90s. Like I've mentioned before, I wouldn't have even considered doing gun stuff online, except for that Ken was already doing stuff in a way that made me feel as an Eagle Scout like it was worthwhile and not just exploiting firearms as look what I can do, or Yahooery, or exploding and bullshit crap. Ken was doing it with intent and with style back in the day, and breaking boundaries and opening ears and eyes, just kicking ass. And has done it and stopped and done it and stopped and tried to retire and allowed himself to come back as a mentor, or been talked to come back as a mentor, even though he's having issues with his own real life situations. And I guess now he's turning 60. I've turned 50 before, and that blows chunks. So I can imagine 60 would blow chunks in a different way. Remember how fun it was turning 30 and 20, or maybe even 18 if you're that young? It's the other way. It starts getting shittier when you start turning these other things, right? So Ken wants a guitar. Man, if I had money, I guess we'd be buying him a guitar. Or I guess we'd be throwing money at DJ to buy him a guitar, because I don't know what it is. Some kind of guitar. He's saying it's a Strat, I'm guessing. Next up, Pets for Vets. Awesome channel I watch on the Instagram. They do stuff like this. They also give pets to veterans. But in this case, they got a gator eating a gator. Funny. Here's Tony Simon talking about his car, I think. I didn't even...
This is Tony from the Second is for Everyone, Diversity Shoot, Second is for Everyone podcast, and Pound for Pound, the largest firearms instructor in America. I'm out here car shopping. Definitely not buying this. But I want to tell you that on the 13th of April, Second is for Everyone is going to be back at Gun for Hire Range. That's right. We're going back to the home where it started it all, Gun for Hire Range in Woodland Park, New Jersey. We're going to be hanging out with Anthony and everybody. So I can't wait to see you. The ticket's going to be available on Eventbrite, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. We're going to have a good time. We're going to have some food. We're going to have some fun. We're going to have some prizes. And hopefully we're going to have you. So go to the Eventbrite link in my bio. Click it. Buy a ticket today.
There you go. That's what it's like when somebody's putting in actual work and being an actual ambassador to a community and to a lifestyle. Then you get somebody else doing it in a whole different way. Have you heard of Machine Gun BB? So Machine Gun BB is awesome. I was introduced to her from Jaeger, James Jaeger, back in the day. So Machine Gun BB hangs out at Machine Gun Vegas, a place in Vegas that rents machine guns. They have an indoor place, and we went and did a tour with BB a couple of times now at the indoor place, and it's nice. It's one of my favorites because it's nondescript, and they've got a lot of cool stuff, and it's all attractive ladies that are the hostesses of the place. So that way you know that you're going to be attended to by somebody who's got their shit together. So it's a pretty cool place. They've also got like a private thing going. So they've got experience like on the high end and being fancy or whatever. So it's just a different experience than some of the other ones that are more like, I don't know, typical county range or something. So it's more like the country club of the rental places. And BB's cool. She's super down to earth. She's the one that, I'm sure she does stuff on the indoor stuff also, but she's the one that'll take clients out to the outdoor range called, why can't I think of it? Called, I'll think of it when I'm not trying to think of it, but she'll take people to the outdoor range and let them wail on tannerite or whatever outside. And in this video, she's basically TIG welding a M249 back together. So she's pretty hardcore, and she hangs out with all the belt-fed dudes. She lives in Vegas, and there's a bunch of culture of belt-fed machine guns owner community in around the deserts, probably because we can shoot stuff out here. So there's some that are kind of above, everybody knows about them, and some that are private, and I suspect BB's involved with all of that. So super knowledgeable, just a super fun chick. And if you follow her Instagram, she's all over the place, and she's got a couple of dogs. She has a lot of fun. And this one just one of the ones that exemplifies her channel. She's probably, well, you'll go check it out and you'll like it. Next up is BMC, one of our favorite gun shops over in New Mexico, just expanded into a second location. And they, I guess, probably part of that is dropping a new set of their patches. They do the Zias, this like sun looking logo that's on the New Mexico flag. And they do these periodically now in different colors. I've got quite a few of them. We usually trade patches whenever I'm in the area. And then it's I think this is some kind of sports in Albuquerque. And then they put a bump helmet and nods on it. And I forget the name of that guy now, but that's their other patch. And it's just a new set of colors. So opportunity to plug an awesome gun shop in Albuquerque.
Hey everybody, coming to you from Washington, D.C., fresh out of Congress's office. You know how you hear bills that are thousands of pages long? Well, he is proposing a bill that is called the Repeal of the Gun-Free School Zone Acts of 1990. You know how long it is? Here and here. Like one page, double spaced. Call your congressman, tell him jump all over this.
So first off, Donna Mueller's putting her money and her time where her mouth is. So she runs the Ambassador Academy, or started the Ambassador Academy to help other people accomplish what she's been able to figure out, and to get people to work together, get their skill sets shared. But then she's doing it, right? She's out there in DC right now. Everybody else is just sitting around listening to me or talking or doing whatever we're doing. She's in DC hanging out with these Congress people and bringing other ladies with her, inspiring. How many ladies is she inspiring? Is she inspiring dudes? She's probably inspiring dudes also. I'm not a biologist, but I think that a female can inspire. If she's a female, then she can inspire males, I think. And she's doing it. She's also letting us know that there's a bill to repeal the guns or the school zone gun-free, what the hell? The Gun-Free School Zone Act of 1990. I think she put it in there backwards. But that's awesome, because it's a bullshit law that just makes criminals out of people that don't know about their dumb law. Doesn't save anybody. It doesn't help anybody. It was a knee-jerk reaction, and it should be scorned as undue burden and obligation, and it takes away the law enforcement's ability to do their other jobs that we demand of them by giving undue burden on them. So it should be repealed. It's an effort to do something in a positive way that has repercussions. Doing some things in a positive way, like a rally, that's cool. Like getting people together, Second Amendment or First Amendment right to gather. I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big fan. However, there's not much consequence other than the relationships and the experience and, potentially some tradition that can sprout from something like that. Without getting too deep into it. But when you kill legislation, when you bring people together, like virtually in this case, on a topic, and you kill legislation that's bad, that kills legislation that's bad. So you've got that consequence. It also gives everybody a feather in their cap. They can run around bragging about how they helped kill bad legislation. That usually encourages people to start doing it again. And then that'll motivate people who are like, well, if they can kill that bad legislation, let's kill this bad legislation. So again, of all the things I've looked at today, who's the most active, who's doing the most. It's awesome that there's so many ladies out there, so many people out there also, but ladies specifically in the last 7 years that are kicking the shit out of it for us. And, it's worth paying attention to once in a while. We're going to take a look at something else she's doing in a second. So anyway, that's the fact that she's out there doing it, inspiring and getting jobs done. The fact that she's becoming a resource that when representatives have issues, they can call on both Diana and all the other ladies in the DC project that have been doing similar relationship building. She lets us be aware of this Gun-Free School Zone Act being repealed, potentially. But also, look at how casually she gets such a professional post up there. Here's some credibility and some... here I am. Like they didn't come to me. We didn't meet in Nebraska. Sorry, I just picked a state randomly. You know, this is us. Here we are. And just like, oh, by the way, here's a call to action that's achievable, and I'm just hanging out. And this is like one of many things that she's doing between competition shooting and running a national level organization and participating in social and just hopefully having a fun life. I'm sure she's got a family life and she shares a little bit of that. Hopefully she's just enjoying what she's accomplished. Awesome, awesome stuff right there. All in one quick 3-panel Instagram. So people are like, I don't like Instagram because some blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, whatever, because that's why it sounds like a teacher talking to me, because there's stuff like this on Instagram. It's what you want to pay attention to, right? Here's Shan, everybody's favorite. Taking advice. This is from Mom at Arms. Here's Voss. And so it says, taking advice from Shannon Watts, founder of Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America on gun safety, would be like taking advice on how to live a more healthy lifestyle from a spokesman of a company that produces standard lawn chemicals that cause serious forms of cancer. Oh, wait. Then it says hashtag Monsanto, because this lady is the same chick who worked for Monsanto as a marketing lady to tell people how they should like GMOs and all the stuff that Monsanto, the international, multinational, what is that called? Conglomerate food thing. But Bloomberg pays her more. So now she cares. Now she really cares. So I put in here, she gets paid well to know what's best for corporations. So I feel like we can trust her too. I got 2 likes on that. All right. So next up is, oh, dang it. This is got the stupid song playing. So let me kill that song. Let's just watch what this girl's doing. What's she doing here? She's smacking on spikes with a machete. So first off, she's better than most people I know, being able to wail on a spike into a big log like that without a bunch of wasting time. She just did it. And she did it with the edge of a machete and not the side of the machete. And she didn't damage the machete. And she didn't damage the spikes. And while I've been saying all this, she moved her body to the other end of these logs that seem to be about 6 feet long each and easily 10 to 12 inches in diameter, maybe, 10 inches more in diameter. She gets up, she took those 2 spikes going into some kind of a moving strap, and then she maneuvers these things up into a makeshift backpack straps so that she can just walk off in her 1980s like winter jacket thing. And she's just like, let's go take care of business. So there you go. That's Ready Man Network. Awesome channel. Does stuff like that. All right, so here's a bunch of stuff from the Gray Man brief. If you're not paying attention to intel, then you're paying attention to propaganda. So January 6th, there's already been, well, now there has been one person who's acquitted on all charges from that whole situation because it was concluded that the police allowed them to enter. So there was no trespassing. I don't know if anybody's talked about that, but that sounds pretty good. It's the first time I've heard about it. Biden is going to nominate an ATF director. We all know about that one. Conspiracy number 2, 2 men posed as DHS agents on January 6th, conspired with 4 actual Secret Service agents, and arrests were made, and an investigation is underway. So I didn't know if anybody's heard about that. I don't really pay attention to the news, so that was news to me. Mass casualty, this thing in San Francisco was turned out to be gang violence by a recently paroled felon. So I think everybody knows about that one probably. Facebook has hired propaganda firms to write false stories about Parler, TikTok, and Getter. I don't know if that one's been out in the news. And then this last one was about the border again, that Texas is chartering buses to deliver 50,000 illegals to Washington, D.C. if they end Title 42. And then Florida's planning on transporting illegals that they get to Delaware. So I haven't heard about any of that except in here. So give me some feedback. Is that old news? Should I bother putting the Gray Man in here? If that's regular news, then I'm not giving anybody any insight. It's not worth it. Probably nobody's paying attention to the U.S. Army Marksmanship Unit. This is them. And This is staff sergeant or staff sergeant and teammate. I don't know what that means. Just won bronze in the mixed skeet team event in Lima, Peru. Now they only won bronze, but it's in Lima, Peru, and I'm a big fan of Lima, Peru. So I'm putting that in here. But it's neat to see that while everything else is going on in the whole world, the marksmanship unit is still sending people to shoot skeet. So can't be that bad. And there they are shooting skeet. And this is like international stuff. So like not even Olympics, just plain old international shooting. Remember, shooting is like second biggest sport in the world. So a lot of people don't want us to think about that. What used to be called Georgia Carry is now called GA2A, GATA, and says Governor Kemp will sign blah, blah, blah on April 12th, and that's what prompted me to go do the constitutional carry update at the beginning of this whole thing. So one of my favorite state level organizations, they've been doing stuff online longer than most of them, and they continue to adapt and grow. Probably right behind Virginia Citizens Defense League as far as capable online organizations that lead the way at a state level. Highly encourage you to support GA2A.org, or what used to be called Georgia Carry. I don't have any affiliation with them other than respect. They've been doing stuff well for a while. All right, here's the Professor Yamane. And I guess this is showing you how fancy the place he went to is. See how snooty it is? I feel like I should put my finger up as I'm clicking the little buttons on here. This is fancier than anything I ever do. Wrapped up a 1.5 day long authors workshop held at the University of Connecticut at Hartford. I presented on the evolution of the American gun culture and listened to 13 other presentations on various aspects of gun violence prevention. Papers will be published in the Annals of American Academy of Political and Social Science this November. So, boy, is that boring, right? So would we rather have only antis paid by Bloomberg attending an American gun culture Annals of American Academy of the evolution of American gun culture? Or do we want somebody that's at least attempting, it seems, in earnest to understand the modern and how we got to this modern, what he believes the modern gun culture? I mean, I think he's a little naive, and I think he doesn't take the whole scope into it, but he's also brand new to this whole thing, and he's only got himself, and he's probably doing other things also. But there's nobody else doing anything at all, period. So, except for maybe Walk Talk America. It sounds like they'll occasionally show up at something like this. Maybe not even have as nice a presentation, but at least offer perspective and insight to, or from our side. I'm trying to get this thing to stop making noise. So there you go. And next, come on. There's a bunch of them this week. So this is Cheryl Todd posting Sarah Cade. So Arizona posting about Minnesota, and mainly for the people out there that are like, I don't like TikTok because of blah, blah, blah. So you're only looking at the bad parts of TikTok, the good parts of TikTok, or in this case, Instagram, maybe Twitter. I think these kind of little shorts that are less than 10 seconds or 15 seconds like this can go on most of the platforms. Here's how it breaks down if you don't know. It's all just how long the video is. YouTube can be as long as it wants, right? Instagram can be like a minute or maybe 5 minutes, like they have that other way. But for the most part, Instagram is a minute. TikTok is videos that are moments long, seconds, moments. So that's all the difference is, but they're all the same thing. So Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok are basically just ways to get information across with video, except that TikTok is stupid and it uses the up and down. Instagram is stupid and it uses the up and down like this. And YouTube is normal and it uses the sideways like our eyes are, right? Like our eyes are right next to each other unless you're laying down. So this is for kids, but look how much information it's getting across. For one thing, it's 2 adult women sharing this stuff with other adult women. And they go around telling us how we can't tell them how to wear a holster. There ain't no possible way I'm strapping an elastic band to my belly and then another strap around my crotch to hold a holster underneath of my floppy outer garment. Like, that's just not happening. So there's probably not a way for me to tell some lady about how to carry your gun this way. So if they're accomplishing getting that information across, or even the concept across, that you can be doing your thing and still be ready to defend yourself lethally, then that's awesome for those ladies. But think about all the bad guys that watch this and go, oh, dang, I'll never know who's going to defend themselves lethally against my bad intentions. And how often does this prevent crime by just being out there? There's a reason they want this off the platform, and it isn't because this is provocative or violent. It's because it's creating an awareness and a what's the word? A liberty. It's giving people fundamental, like, delusions of liberty, or not delusions, I guess. Interest in attaining liberty if they don't have it. Anyway, so I'll quit running this thing. I just think it's neat, and you'll notice that there's not a bunch of garbage comments, because these girls are respectful and sharing this stuff amongst themselves. It's not for the likes. It's for the getting information across in a trendy way that the girls appreciate. And that's what the TikTok and stuff is for. So all the persecution of it and stuff, fine. I don't care if you persecute. I don't care if you use it. Just understand why people are using it. And if you're going to look down at somebody for using it, understand that you're probably not paying attention to the ways they might be using it. That being said, if somebody's using it to just splash beer on their boobs or something, then that's what everybody thinks, right? All right, so another one from Hog, and this one is from a local gun shop here in Arizona. Hey, look, here's Aero Precision. A bunch of fans of Aero Precision out there usually. How bad is this fan noise? Because this fan thing is driving me nuts already. So we got Hog saying, buying a gun does not make you a man. It makes you a consumer, a cog in the system, one of millions having their insecurities weaponized for profit. You are being manipulated by marketing agencies because you are weak. Masculinity cannot be purchased. It can only be practiced. So that's why I don't believe this guy is legit, because this message is weird as shit, and it seems engineered, and it seems more than just provocative, right? It seems like it's engineered. And then I thought this was interesting, and I don't know who any of these people are. So if these people are people who exist and I just don't know them, then that's my problem, because I don't know who they are. But as far as the response goes, it's interesting. So Doofus says that, and then this other person says, I don't know if you'll see this, David, but it needs to get out there. The NFA allows civilians to buy fully automatic firearms. We need to repeal it. So I don't know if this is a troll, or if this is a doofus, or if it's a troll doofus, or if it's a doofus troll. But it really doesn't matter, because I'm going to unlike this one anyway. As much as I like the gun shop, I don't need this to be anywhere in my feeds. But for the show, if maybe let's say you're in a show that rips off this show all the time, and you're looking for a topic to get to really sink your teeth into, or you're having a discussion in a long format gun conversation, and it's yet another non-gun topic, and you want to bring it back to guns. What is this all about? Is this a real doofus who thinks that the NFA needs to be repealed because there's the option to own registered firearms under it, and they just haven't thought it through? Or is this a troll? If it's a troll, is it an effective tactic? Is it playing with fire? Is it so brilliant it just might work? That's one aspect. So that's a bunch of stuff you could take from this. There's a bunch of kernels. You could drop them into whatever chat stew you might want to, and for the enhanced flavor. But the other thing I thought would be interesting to dissect, not by me, but by somebody who does this for a living better, is what's all this? It does not make you a man, right? It makes you a consumer. So right off, like, he assumes that whoever's reading this wants to be a man, and person reading this is not going to want to be a consumer or any kind of a cog in the system because you're a man. And then one of millions having their insecurities weaponized for profit. Is he acknowledging there's millions of gun owners, and that there's so many millions of them that some or even most, but meaning that there's others besides this, but millions of them at least are having their insecurities weaponized. And I'm guessing are also not aware of it. And then also, this implies that once you're aware of it, you're going to go, oh, well, now I don't want my gun anymore. Like, who cares? Oh, no, you're saying the people that I bought my thing that I want from made money on it? Oh, no, I hate capitalism so much I don't want the thing anymore. No logic here. That's why I think it's engineered. You are being manipulated by marketing agencies. So what does he think? Potato chips are evil and whatever other product exists that markets itself? And then everyone is weak, and that somehow it's bad to be weak. Like, this doesn't work. You're not allowed to get offended and then be a bully, and I don't get it. So this seems engineered, and I'm not interested in having the conversation. I already did unlike it or whatever. But darn it, out there. That's what you get for nothing with this show. And then we get the Shootah. It's coming up in Utah. That's May 21st. Just one day from 10 to 5 in Springville, Utah. It's kind of south and east of the Salt Lake City area. And it says it's prevented by something or another global vision. There's going to be a live fire demo, a night vision, thermal optics from 8 to 11. So there's like a night version of it also. I've heard good things. Dead Horse used to go. So I haven't been able to get up there ever. But every time I've been to Utah, I've had a pleasant experience, and I find more interesting things up there. So Utah is pretty cool. And this is a thing about shooting in Utah. Shootah. Again, May 21st. We definitely have it on the calendar. And then we get that same gun shop had this post where it says, I'm no scientist, but the graph looks suspect. And it says mass shootings at the top, and then it's got some years, 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 1. And then the bars go steadily up. But now let's look at the numbers. 335, 382, okay. 346, okay, it came down again. 36, 36, 336, 336, 336, 336. So did they just do typos, or are they fudging stuff? What did I put in here? Something awesome. You don't understand the science. Let me explain. The blue are more violent and therefore represented with the higher numbers on the graph, or higher positions on the graph. So I was trying to be funny there. But yeah, it's just a gun shop posting stuff that's not so much a meme, but like you could tell that's just somebody watching the news more than likely and wondering what's up with this. Oh, I think I mentioned this before. Crump is also one of those people that will post when he's looking for sponsors. So Crump has helped us out in the past. So if you're interested in supporting a podcast that is an investigative reporter who then does a podcast, check them out. Or if you think you know somebody who might be a good match, that's really what I'm posting this for, and that's what it's all about. There's not a bunch of Bloombergs running around like Shark Tank looking to throw all their millions on Second Amendment activists. So if there's a pizza place or some other organization that you know of that sponsors things or is looking for marketing or advertising, then consider Crump if it's a good match, and others, right? There's lots of people out there that could use support, and if you can facilitate that or help make matches, then consider it. Speaking of gunsmithing schools, here's this one in Pennsylvania, the PA Gunsmithing School. I like to call it the Page Gunsmithing School, even though it's not have anything to do with Page. It just looks funny because it says PAG altogether. But anyway, so BWE is saying, how old is that forge? I used it 40 years ago when I went there to school. So this is a series from their forging section. So it's a cool gunsmithing school. Like there's a lot of gunsmithing schools. Whenever I was doing some research last year, the year before, I started following all the gunsmithing schools really, and so a couple of them post on the regular, and PA Gunsmithing School is one of them. And yeah, this looks like an interesting old school because a lot of the new forges are electric and some kind of fancy thing. This is some sort of old cast iron situation with gas. Pretty neat. So yeah, they're it sounds like they make their own tools to get kind of going into the class or into the gunsmithing profession. You set up making your own tools. If you can make a tool, you can make a gun. That's a tool, right? So kind of cool. And I'm assuming a lot of kids don't have experience with doing this kind of stuff. Or maybe I'm totally wrong because there's TV shows that talk about that stuff now. So maybe that is kind of a hobby that a bunch of kids get into gunsmithing with, some knowledge already. Let's see. So then Mary Schuster, I'm trying to remember where she's from. Somewhere back east, I think. Maybe not. She's always posting farm pictures. Anyway, oh, wait. I should know. Oh, no, can't remember. Maybe Pennsylvania? Anyway, she posts this thing that I wasn't aware of. Fourth Circuit, a person has the right to come to a door with a firearm. So I didn't even know that was at the circuit court. But I guess at some point there was something that, something that said you're not allowed to go to the door with a firearm. So they took it to the court and they took it up to the circuit court. So it went past the first level of courts. And if the circuit court knocks it down, then that means unless somebody has the wherewithal and the interest to push it further, it doesn't just get pushed further, right? There has to be some push to have it go to the Supreme Court. And I can't imagine if they're not going to take any other 2A, why they would take that. I guess if they're anti, and I think this is anti. But anyway, so it seems like an interesting, positive step. So then we got Rebecca Schmoyer again. This time she's posting a picture, but it says, my full-time job has nothing to do with politics, firearms, or advocacy at all. Yet my employer allows me the opportunity to skip work to go do all the advocacy things I do, both locally and nationally. Making the switch from a corporate bank to a hometown bank was the best decision I could have made. I love this family, and they've earned my respect. Here's to good career moves and outstanding co-workers and bosses. So she must be happy about being able to do her thing. However, it made me think when I read this about, again, how these ladies that are literally doing so much stuff right now, we're taking so much of this for granted because they're just doing it for themselves and their daughters and their friends, but they're accomplishing it for everybody. And the way that they're doing it is preventing the old narratives, the old paradigms from happening again. They can't say that all gun owners are when they now know they aren't. And the reason they know that the gun owners aren't what they used to be is because of Rebecca and the other 49 ladies or something that have been working on this for the last couple of years. And I'm going to keep mentioning they're doing this on their own dime. And she's having to post her appreciation for being able to get off of work to use her own money on vacation, or in this case, extra vacation, extra time away from her job to go accomplish 2A activism or activism for the Second Amendment in Kansas and everywhere else. Kudos for one, but also when's the time that we're going to have the mid-level, the top level middlemen, the companies that can devote tons of money to marketing to sell crap and then sponsor and support all kinds of activities throughout the year with a marketing stint. When are they going to virtue signal and support the DC Project and other the Armed Women of America and the Girl in a Gun in the girls realm, or in the realm of bringing new gun owners of all, I'm not a biologist, but all genders to firearms to the community, like Tony with 2A for E. He'd like to make that project bigger. Where's the corporate sponsorship of all these people who are doing this stuff on their own dime? I mean, it'd be awesome to see a bunch of individuals grassroot it, but it hasn't been done before, and it's difficult to see that happening when there's not a giant push for it. But with that consistent effort, it would be great to see it supplemented or even surpassed by that corporate awareness and sponsorship. Be cool to see people jockeying to be the most active activists in order to get deemed worthy of sponsorship, just like car racers or sports, fill in the blank, I don't know, but you know what I mean? They try to be good at sports so that they get more money. Wouldn't we want our activists to be good? But part-time is good. They're accomplishing a lot part-time. Maryland, ghost gun ban. I guess I got that in there twice. It's lazy. I'll leave it in there, I guess. This one dude posted Dead Milkman thing. If you haven't heard Dead Milkman, Eat Your Paisley is a good one to start with, I suppose. You're welcome. Let's see. Nebraska. You ever heard of it? Weird looking state. They're looking to get, I'm going to call it constitutional carry because I refuse to call it that other word. They got L773 and it needs help to get across the finish line. And again, I'd like to see national level organizations being aware of it, but I'd much rather see national level organizations step up and take the lead at a leadership role and not just awareness or observation, but start to call some shots or challenge, use their clout or their resources of some sort to instigate some action, right? To offer some awareness of the playing field and then offer more than just knee-jerk reaction to bad work. And I know they're efforting in gun policy is the one doing the most. There's nobody else in here that's got any awareness of Nebraska other than Sandhills and the Nebraska gun owners groups and DJ and Defense Dad and Travis, right? The individuals, but not a lot of national level attention. And then we can, of course, talk about Maryland, and we can talk about New Jersey. We could talk about California, I guess. What? Now hiring. So if you haven't been to surplus stores, go, because they probably won't last forever. They were created by the inefficiencies in the distribution systems, and with AI and fanciness and scarcity, those don't exist anymore. So we're not going to probably see surpluses being created. It costs too much resource and money and time to create surplus. So I suspect we're not going to see too many. We'll see accidental surpluses in some clearinghouses, but we're not going to see actual surplus stores the way they ever were going forward. So if you want to check out a real surplus store, I've been to some of them, and this is one of them. So Harry's is in Michigan. Even though this bunch of jerks live in Michigan, there's other people live in Michigan that are okay. And this is a pretty decent surplus store. It's not huge and the parking's shitty. It's a really dumb parking situation. But if I remember right, you park in back or like down the street behind the pizza place or something, and you go in the back way. I didn't know about that. And I only been there once. So I went and parked in the front, which was really a pain. They were also doing construction. There's some kind of weird 2-lane highway, if I remember. But it's all about the store, not the parking, I guess. And the store was a real surplus store. It was probably about a half as big as some of the big ones, but it was still bigger than your garbage shop. It was still bigger than your outdoor store, quote unquote, that has all the stuff that the hardware store has. Except they brand themselves surplus. They have all that plus real surplus, plus uniforms and boots. So it's that kind of surplus store, but decent store. And if you need a job and you're in Michigan, you want to get the hell out of Michigan, then get a job over there. Maybe they'll hire you. I don't know. Then we get the museum over here. So that's an F4, probably the coolest airplane ever. And it's an F4 in stupid Navy configuration, which I don't like, but they do got a good paint job. And it's got a Playboy thing on it. So win, win, win. So it's an old black and white Phantom 2 VX4. An evaluator, I guess. So probably a training thing. I don't know what X means. Probably X evaluator. Anyway, looks like it's going to be relocated, which sucks. I'm a big fan of F4s. I don't know why. Probably some reasons. But, you know why? I think I know why. But anyway, F4s, awesome planes. And you just don't see them enough. All the other planes hog the attention, and F4s hardly ever get any of the attention, even though F4s are some of the coolest ones ever. All right, next up, I'm going to unlike this one right away. First off, I used to like this Handgun Hideouts guy, the account, because a bunch of people met him in Tulsa, and his account used to do funny memes, and then you'd click on it and get the information about whatever new book or whatever they've been working on. But they stopped all that. Now they just put the memes up as a separate post, and I'm not sure about that, but I don't have any interest in, because most of the memes I've already seen, so I'd have less interest in looking at their stuff, because it used to be a refreshing change to see the little arrow in the meme and know that I could go look at whatever book they just come up with. They'll stick like they'll hollow out books and make them specific for like a 1911 and a knife, or like, you know, Walther and a magazine, or whatever people want, I guess, or some kind of set. I don't know how the system goes, but and like say, you used to be able to see their meme and then flip over, so I was kind of getting accustomed to it. Now they've changed it, and they use this stupid Nagger meme. So I'm always bitching about Nagger, bragging about making $16 million. Sorry about that. 16 million, right? 16 and then 000, comma 000. $16 million. And nobody's ever heard of them because they don't do anything ever. But then here's something they do. So they take and they put their name on here and they put their stupid watermark on here. Do you think they took this picture or did they find this picture? And what's one out this picture? Double barrel, plaid shirt, old white guy with a mustache, and then green. So it ain't a city, and it is whatever it is. I don't know what it's supposed to be. And then it says epiphany, the realization that you broke into the wrong house. Fuck everything about this message. This is garbage, and this is the shit that they put out. They spent $16 million putting this out there. This works against everything. This is like bad. So if people want to know why I'm not a fan, one, I don't have to like anybody because Patreon support what we're doing. I don't have to be a mouthpiece for anybody, and I don't have to like them, and I can definitely say when I don't like them. This is the kind of crap that's an example of that. And I'm going to quit following handgun hideouts, especially if I ever see another Nagger thing. I literally stop following people if they associate with this organization. They're stealing money from people who would be normally attempting to put that money to good use. If I'm wrong, prove that to me, because I can't find anyone in the industry or the community yet who can, except somebody who's getting paid by them, to suggest otherwise. Sportsman's company that's decent. They're up in Minnesota, and they don't have a bunch of brick and mortars. They do everything online, and they've supported us in the past, and they support a bunch of people, I think, still. If you follow them, they are paying attention to what's going on. They're bringing in surplus stuff. They have multiple levels. They're a big company, but they're a bunch of regular people, you know, working at the big company. Massive infrastructure. I got to take a tour of their place. Pretty neat place. So I like to post their stuff every once in a while. Not so much as more of a thank you than anything, because they're just good. I think they're a good example of a company that's out there supplying and being part of the community, not just living off the community. Right? So maybe I'm, crazy because I don't like that place, but I appreciate the feedback, saying it's a slap in the face to responsible firearms owners, right? It's like it's an old bullshit paradigm that people are efforting really hard to challenge and to extinguish, and they go along and foster it. Is it unintentionally because they're idiots, or is it intentionally because they know that rift can be exploited? They don't do nothing. They'd spend $12 million thinking about it. So they're either sitting around partying for $12 million or strategizing how they can get another $12 million. Just the right meme, just the right set of tone, just the right initials. Horrible. Gun Owners of America gave out these patches. Gun Owners of America brings in approximately $10 million, something like that. I'll be doing some research here as soon as I do my taxes. I get to pay my taxes this next week, right? So I'm still in the process. Once that's off my thing, I'll be doing a look back at last year, and then a look back as far back as I can at what these organizations bring in. But the last time I looked, if I remember right, GOA was somewhere around $10 to $12 million a year, with quite a big infrastructure as far as these organizations go. Not known if they're bigger or smaller than Second Amendment Foundation, but those two are third only to NSSF, and NRA, of course, is huge. So these are what most would consider the largest of the state level organizations. And instead of just sucking $12 million out like some of them do, they use that money, and they do ways, but they're using a massive majority of that money, and there's so many observable results from it that no one, I believe, I'm not aware of anyone that really questions whether or not they're using their money effectively or wisely or actually using it for what they say they are. I think everybody agrees they are. Maybe there's people that agree with strategy or disagree with strategy. That's a whole different topic, right? But the fact that they're out there is observable and quantitatable. Is that the right words? So they offered a bunch of free patches, and I mean a lot of free patches. And I've mentioned this before, that I'll go up and say, hey, can I grab a couple? And if they say, yeah, then I'll say, can I grab a bunch? Because why not? And then they were like, yeah, grab as many as you want. Take the whole can. Just leave us the can. They literally said something like that. So they were giving away patches, putting their money literally in your pocket, because they were not even just putting it where their mouth is. They were giving away piles and piles of patches, tons and tons of patches they were giving away. And one of them was the Second Amendment Hunters one. And if you're listening to this show and you purchase something like one of those Yankee patches, you might have gotten some of these ones, because I must have got like 10 of them. So a whole bunch of people got these things. I had no idea what it was. I never heard of it before. And then I didn't hear anything of it until this. So I don't know if it's a new project and I got a patch from like the beginning of something, which I suspect because I kind of pay attention to this stuff, or this is been going on for a while and I'm just not aware of it. But Second Amendment Hunters, April 8th through 10th, along with Ducks Unlimited and the Ducks Unlimited Expo, whatever that is. Gun Owners America Second Amendment Hunters will be at the Ducks Unlimited Everything Outdoors Expo this weekend. Hope to see you there. I don't know where this thing is. I never heard about it before. Hold on a second. I got a cough. But this is pretty cool. So I don't know of any other national level organization that's reaching out to hunters, period. I mean, they might set up their booth, but this is branding. This is an effort. This is some sort of a campaign. So as much crap as I'll give some organizations for raising $12 million, bragging about it, and then once it's brought into the light, having somebody fired immediately because they even suggested bringing them to light, I can't get fired because I'm supported by Patreons. You could super chat, you could buy your stuff at the Gear website store, or you could be a Patreon, but individuals support what I'm doing, so I can not have to worry about getting fired by bringing to light what organizations are doing good and which ones aren't. But this is one that seems to be going above and beyond. And again, like quantifiable, like observable, and digging that they're going into another area or another group in the community that's often neglected, so often, and we don't even have conversations anymore. This was a topic of conversation back in the maybe 2015s, 2016, maybe when we were talking about FUDs, and that's what got Clover's ears perked up. But back in the 15 era, when people had seen the apathy from 13, right? There was a massive resistance in 13, and you could feel it. You'd go to a gun show or a gun shop, and it was just different. And everybody felt like we won something together, right? It really felt like the old days. It felt like the end of the assault weapons ban. Then a couple of years later, all right, well, I'm going to keep going. I'm just noticed that we're at 2 hours and I'm still sticking around with this one. So Gun Owners America, doing good stuff. Working with hunters. Right on. I think this is something new, like the Gun Owners America. There's a couple of them. There's two of those. Did you know that? There's I think one of them's like Asian American and the other one is Asian and Pacific Islander. And they both have gun owners, I think, in them. But yeah, there's two new organizations. But anyway, so then we get Girl in a Gun. I mentioned that DC Project all the time. Girl in a Gun is another organization that was founded more from the idea of having someone to shoot with and something to do when you're shooting that's aware and focused on the female. I'm not a biologist here, but on the female side of it. And started by a couple of ladies. It's grown, and they have now a national conference held in Colorado. 500 ladies showing up. this week, like one huge family reunion with over 600. So it looks like now Tatiana is saying that over 600 ladies are showing up. So this is a growing and an event, unlike the DC project, where a lot of people can participate, but only 2 ladies, go to DC, or a lady from each state goes to DC. It costs money. This is an organization that any lady can participate in, and they don't have to go anywhere. But then instead of just shooting or just something else, like they're going to get awareness, and I think some leadership and education as well, or information presented. There's like workshops. It's a multi-day event. So I guess I could just read the thing here instead of mansplaining it. They say competitive shooting sports, personal safety strategies, Second Amendment rights. That's the third item. So competitive shooting sports, okay. Personal safety, that's defending yourself. Second Amendment rights, the third item, right? So simulated training, product demonstrations, concealed carry and personal defense, beginner to advanced courses. So it's not just like a one size fits all. And then live fire instruction, hands-on how-to clinics, and a vendor retail village. So again, the evolution of gun shows, if you listen to Thursday's show, we talked about gun shows for a couple hours. The evolution of gun shows is to do it at a facility where you can pull triggers, or at least a facility where you're outside and can fiddle. So, pepper sprays, look at targets, do something, even if it's a dry range, then, you can at least do it outside. So having these events that are the evolution of shows, they're not really 2A rallies, but they're the evolution of firearms instruction, the evolution of product awareness. I don't know what you call like the trade show type of concept. That's really interesting. And to see it happen with a focus on ladies and a focus on Second Amendment in there is why I keep petitioning it. If it was just shooting sports, there must be those that happen. I just don't know about them. And if it was just personal defense, that happens constantly everywhere also. I wouldn't be as interested. But the fact that it wraps it all up and has grown so much and has such support of such inspirational ladies, then it's getting my support, along with the DC project and well-armed women. Armed Women of America. Sorry, it's changed their names. Next up is, again, why do you watch Instagram, or why do you look at these? I'm not going to keep justifying TikTok, but in this case, Instagram. Well, here's Krebs. Mark Krebs is a gunsmith, 1911 gunsmith, and then AKs, when the contractors were overseas making a bunch of money and needing to use indigenous platforms, the AK upgrades and the AK modifications that came from Mark were done with insight from people using the guns in, operating with the guns, and not in the role of a military contractor necessarily, but civilian contractors. So different rules of engagement, different purchasing situations, different budgets, that kind of thing. So what Mark did was make AR or AK platforms ergonomic like an AR platform originally, and then developed in multiple ways that process, that concept, that hybridization of the two platforms, bringing a known manual of arms from the AR-15 and a known ergonomic arrangement, right? Like the stock and the grip, bringing those back to ARs because it was possible, and then doing what they could to add things like rails to bring lights and infrared and different tools that you might need on a rifle in a place where they would normally be on an AR. Again, for people that have muscle memory or familiarization with that other platform, that's what Mark worked on. And then, of course, a bunch of people saw what he was doing and said, oh, I can do that cheaper, or, I can make one that has a bigger knob on it or whatever, less practical, more flashy, and definitely less expensive. And that's, I'm not going to say Mark created the hybridization of AR and AK, but he was certainly the one doing it for people working at a time when it hadn't been done yet. His existing models are referenced in all the early literature and are basically emulated and cloned in all the garbage parts that are out there. So Mark is often, by somebody who's not paying attention, could be considered one of the AR people that make AKs look like ARs, but Mark is literally the founder of all that, or the groundbreaker and all that. With that being said, he's been a respected 1911 gunsmith for a long time. That's what he was famous for before the whole AK situation. So in this case, what I'm looking at is a picture, and they say a picture says 1,000 words. In this case, the picture is Mark using two of the tools that you'd use on a modern Sega to remove the handguard. And most people, if they're not knowing what I'm talking about, if you see the picture here, the lower handguard on the AK platform on the modern Segas made in Izmash have a weird kind of arrangement where you shove a pin up to smush the retaining spring, and then you use another pin to kind of pull it forward and kind of pop it out. And it's difficult to explain, but in this picture, seeing Mark in the process of pushing, inserting the two springs and applying pressure, it makes a lot more sense. In fact, one of the first things I ever did was to explain how to get the top handguard off of an AK. And that was one of the first things I did on video, was try to explain another process on taking apart an AK that was just cumbersome or complicated enough that it was just much easier to explain with video. And in this case, Instagram is able to explain this, and it's only going to be a small number of people who ever need to care about this, but it's an example of how cool Instagram is. And for the people that might ever need this, here you go. Oh, I think that was the last one. So that was also the last one in the thing. We usually go down and look at what's happening on Instagram. So the Guardian Long Range is a cool long range shooting event that happens a couple of times a year. It's happening right now. There'll be a couple more throughout the year. I'm not into long range. I appreciate it, I guess. I understand it, but nothing about it appeals to me. The guns cost too much. They're too fragile. I'm not interested in laying around waiting for stuff to happen. It's just like, I'm not into it, but I get it. And I can definitely understand people who get really into it. Like, I can definitely see the appreciation for the tools, the difficulty and the accomplishment of learning the different tasks, and then, being able to, to gain the skills to be able to do it. And then be able to do that, repeatedly. It's pretty neat stuff. And I know some people that really get into it, but I do appreciate watching it. And that's the first one in there. This is Yancey's pup. He's about 3 miles from me, but this must have been earlier in the day. No, he's probably about 5 miles from here. There's another person replying to Hog, Philosopher. There's one of Mary's goats. She's always posting goat pictures. That gun shop posting a bunch of bullets, 5.56s. Suppressor shop down in Austin. I just follow. I don't know why. I just think they're doing a lot of neat stuff. This is a dude who drives around in a truck, and he brings this sewing stuff with him, and he creates the pieces of these quilts while he's driving around doing his thing, and then he puts them together. And then they're usually to provide for or to raise funds for military organizations, veterans groups, that kind of thing. We got Diana Mueller again posting effortlessly her accomplishment of meeting up with another 4 representatives in that picture, another 4, so that's 8. There's 12. 16 representatives in the last couple of days. Just post another one in here that shows some of the representatives who were, I guess you could say, refused or were not willing to meet up. So pretty neat. And let's see, some picture of a tree, EDC guy, American Suppressor Association, posting some of these fancy guns I'm not a fan of. Sotec, awesome company out of California that make gear in USA, showing some sort of a throwback tiger stripe, kind of a long range recon type of pack of some sort. Gun shop in Tulsa called Dongs that's painted like a zebra. The whole store is painted like a zebra. It's kind of neat, big old building painted like a zebra. And they've been posting, I don't want to say furiously, but they've definitely been posting a lot of stuff during the Tulsa show. Stuff to the effect of, hey, if they don't want to beat the crowds, come check out our sales this week. So attempting to get the locals probably who don't want to beat the crowds to go to the Tulsa show that they've been to so many times. A bunch of more, this got me concerned. Normally Tatiana has like super like aware pictures. This guy definitely looks like he's jamming that rifle into the ground. The guy with the DC Project shirt on. I mean, he's probably not, but it definitely looks like he's jamming that rifle right into that grass. Let's see. Now they're getting boring, so I guess I'll quit. Nothing else interesting here. Otherwise, I would have clicked a heart on it or put it into my file over there. Let's go look at ours, I guess. Nobody's out here saying anything, so I'm just going to ride the clock. It's Free Patch Friday. I think a couple of people have purchased stuff. Today, earlier, we had some sales. Thank you for that. I think somebody might have purchased something while the show was going on. Thank you for that. While I was talking, I think I heard something. That's the cash register sound is somebody purchasing something over at the store. That's how we stay online. That's how we're able to focus on the projects that we work on. While we're working on those projects, we watch stuff that has to do with 2A, and that's what we're covering this, in this wrap up. Posted this picture of a Mac. Back in the day, a friend of mine had this thing, and well, I like to clean it for him. He didn't care, so I like taking apart Macs. They only got a couple of pictures or a couple of parts, and it's just the most fun gun in the world. This is breakfast at SHOT Show often. Just posted that because I had nothing else to do this morning. That was my question earlier about constitutional carry. This Alabama first to get it, 22nd state, but they're going to be the 25th to actually be able to carry. So, just posing the question, had a couple of people respond. Let's see. Mandatory carry is saying they don't really care either way. It means that 63% is passed. I don't know what he means by that, but because that means 50% of the country is passed. When you can actually, Woods is saying when you can actually carry without a permit, Ohio, Indiana, then Alabama. It's not law until you can do it in real life. Then Jedi is saying Georgia is being signed next Tuesday and will go into effect immediately once signed. And I didn't know that. And then I asked, so would you call the last to sign to be the next concealed carry state, or do they all have to wait until January 2023? And he says, I'm not sure. I just know that Georgia, or I know is in Georgia. Once the bills are signed, they immediately go into effect. So not so much with opinion as much as offering some insight. Thanks for that. This was a rib cage off of some kind of deer, I think, when I was driving up to a range one time closer to Phoenix. I just stopped, took a picture of it, but I was noticing that had to be when I first got that 42. Because it's or is that a 41? It's not that clean anymore. Looks all clean in the photos. It's 41, I guess. This week was the ban on 5.45 ammo. So I like to keep track of stuff like that so that people can remember never to think that this is the first time we've been through this stuff. We get losses, we get victories. We shouldn't gloat when we get a victory, and we shouldn't cry when we get a defeat. Just got to keep going and do it in such a way that the next generation understands that it's an obligation and it's a responsibility, but it's one that we value. To not have this responsibility means we live under fascism or we're dead. So it's the kind of responsibility like having to eat every day. It's a pretty decent responsibility to have. So, because it means you're alive, right? Posted this can, kind of a weird gold anodized can from SHOT Show a couple of years back. Prizes for this week's tactical quiz will include, but not be limited to, a bunch of voodoo dolls for Woods, Kingpin, Mr. Knives. That's what they look like. We made the patches. These are available over at the store. Been kind of working on those last couple of days. So got a bunch of those printed out if you're interested. They don't have any serial numbers. They are 100% 3D printed, and there's Velcro on them. So they act just like a patch. But there's no serial numbers, and we don't keep track of who we sell them We added a bunch of new stuff to the Who Wins This War. So if you're a fan of deciding which is better and interested in seeing what other people thought about which is better, that's what that's all about. So use those on your own chats if you want. It's sort of the point, is to have some tools, some resources that are useful and not just random. Well, they're kind of random, I guess, but at least they're useful and can spark some conversations or trigger some stories. Maybe, you post a picture with an auto mag and maybe somebody can remember that one time when they got to shoot an auto mag, or when they bought one or something like that. We got Mary on Wednesday with barbecue. We had KD on with riding shotgun with Charlie and Meet the Pressers. Earlier in the week was the anniversary of the passing of Otis McDonald. Otis McDonald is the individual who fought the city of Chicago and took it to the Supreme Court. He won in 2010 a decision of 5-4 that the Second Amendment does apply to the states, and that effectively ended Chicago's ban on handguns. So you see in this picture, he's standing on the steps of the Supreme Court. Alan Gottlieb is behind him. The Second Amendment Foundation was part of that, and it's not like they just sat down and surgically backed one candidate, one perfect lawsuit, and that's what got us the McDonald decision. But it's the one that went all the way. They start with 10, and then they end up with 5, and then there's one at the end, and this is the one that got through. So Second Amendment Foundation doesn't necessarily get a lot of wins, but they put in efforts that end up with accomplishing wins like this one. We only have, in our lifetimes, every single Supreme Court ruling, and Second Amendment Foundation's not responsible necessarily, but certainly involved and a big part of the financing and the arranging and the strategy of those cases and what's coming next. I mean, they're not done. So anyway, posted this because, again, he passed. It's unfortunate. Most of the other Second Amendment heroes, people that are actually at the top of the pile of people who are going to go down in history. This is the McDonald case. This will go down in history. And we still have Heller, and we still have Rhonda Ezell. So Rhonda is also in Chicago. She went to the Supreme Court twice and won both times. So we have opportunities to chat with people like her, G23, Barbecue, other folks out there making interviews. We don't always get nothing guaranteed. So Otis, a cool dude. And April 4th, he started in 1933. So he lived for a little bit. I'm sure he was happy with what he accomplished. There's a picture of a P90 back in the day. PS90 means it's got a long barrel and blah, blah, blah. P90 means it's an SBR, basically. It has a little tiny barrel. It's a bullpup or whatever, but it's still a short barrel. Overall length is over 26 inches. And they're goofy. They're not, I don't love them. I don't want one. I like shooting them. But, yeah, I'll pick one up and shoot it, but I'm not buying one. They're super expensive. I think Pink has a couple. He likes them. People that like them really, really dig them. They're awesome. They're super neat machines. Like I say, I'll drive one anytime you give me one. They cost too much to shoot, and I can't afford all them mags. Price is no object. I have one around. Super useful, super effective, decent caliber, even though it's a metric. The magazines override that, and I'm flabbergasted that it hasn't been used more. The magazine system, at least. Maybe they own it and they don't let people use it, but really cool system. If you haven't shot one, definitely worth it. Also the pistol, unique. People go, oh, I don't see the point in pulling triggers. Remember that when you drive a Honda Civic and then you drive a limousine and then you drive a dump truck, you're still driving, but those are different experiences. And that's what it's like with some of these firearms. Some firearms, stupid 9mm guns, are all the same. They're all boring and lame. But other calibers that are decent and platforms that are interesting and unique like this one are more than a pleasure to shoot. They're actually an adventure. So a lot of fun to shoot, both in the way you're interacting with it as a human. You're going to wrap your hands up on top of each other. It's so weird. It's like you put Go put both hands on your chin right now. Bring up both your hands if you got two of them. If you're not doing anything else, if you're not driving, put them both on your chin. And now look at something. And that's what it's like shooting a P90. Because there's no barrel. You're just holding your fingers up, your hands up to your chin, and you're pulling the trigger. And this gun is going off right in front of your face. So people that like bullpups like having guns go off right in front of their face. It's really interesting. But that being said, like say, if somebody was just going to give me one in a pile of ammo, I'd shoot it. Shoot it a lot. They're a lot of fun to shoot. It's like driving a race car. You don't want to own one and you don't want to have to pay for one. But if somebody's going to give you the keys and let you drive it, especially if they're going to let you tear around in it, you'd be foolish to not run around. Post picture of a bunch of that same SBR, or actually a different one because this one was green. This was my friend's one. This is a cool dude. I guess he sold it. No, he kept it for his daughter, I think. Maybe he did sell it. No, he sold their Cerberus. He had a Cerberus too. Anyway, cool dude. This was somebody else's, and this was an Uzi, and then this is my pistol. And I just thought they were a cool picture. That picture's been around for a long time, and my pistol still looks like that. Wait a minute. Yeah, no, it still looks like that. Let's see. Weatherby passed on April 4th also. A couple of pictures of an old Romanian AKs. April 3rd was the Pony Express started, and I'm pretty sure we're already back to looking at stuff we've looked at before. All right, so at this, I'm ending it. Nobody's really saying anything, so I'm guessing I've worn out my welcome. I've worn the internet out tonight. We've taken a look at Instagram. We have taken a look at the Patreon, where we post all this stuff. So if you're interested, I'll drop that link again. You don't have to be a member of Patreon. You don't have to support us over there in order to check it out over there. It's just a better thing. I can put pictures in there. I can put bold. I can have links and everything. So I can just format it so much nicer. I like that as the thing that we read through. It also has more in here because this week was a big week. There's still more I can add. I can add more about Florida and Nebraska up here in the constitutional carry update is what I should have put here, not concealed carry. All right, with that being said, I'm closing that. This is the StreamYard giveaway tool. It says that we have 4 entries, so I don't know who else is still out there. Earlier, did anybody win? I didn't hit the button before, did I? I'm going to hit the button just for shits and giggles. Oh, John Z. Is he still out there? John Z is the guy that went with me to the Bannerman Castle that one time. So I'm going to just say draw again. Oh, come on, man. I have to hit refresh. And then choose this one again. And then, nope. Drop the thing. What was it? 9mm sucks. Yes. Start collecting. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I got to put the big S. No, everybody just left. So I can't even draw. Nobody's even around to win. So John Z won. Anyway, we took a look at Instagram. We took a look at Patreon. Why do I got this open? Did you know? Oh, this was G23 doing the Every Second Matters. I was thinking I was looking at a FOSS thing. Let's look around the other way. FOSS will be live this weekend. G23 will be live this weekend. Brooke at A Great Start Shooting School will be live for this weekend. I think she's got a guest. Barbecue does his meat show over the weekend. Gizzard hosts a live. Well, he's probably, I'm corking him right now, so I don't know if he's still live. But then Gizzard will be live again on Sunday and do a live show. I think Travis does a live show on Tuesday or on Sunday morning. And Locked and Loaded Latinos is on Sunday. The Polite Society podcast or the Second Amendment Foundation weekly bullet or something, I think, is up on Saturday. And, of course, we'll do the Ask Gun questions, I suspect. So with all that, that's a little bit of what's coming. Thanks again for those who showed up. We did a long show today, but it was a lot of stuff, and I felt like digging into Instagram a little bit more than normal. So with all that, we'll close out of these other things. We'll say thanks again. Let's do this. Oh, wait, it's not even going to let me draw now? Why is that? It won't let me draw with just one. Oh, because it's just one. That's why, because it would just pick you. Anyway, I was going to pick you, but it won't let me. The robots won't let me pick you about G23. But thanks for sticking around for the show. If you're listening to this in the future, leave us some comments. That gives us some motivation to keep going. It gives us some direction. And it lets us know what platform you're listening on. Because while we record this on YouTube and Odyssey Live and Twitch, we also post it as a video over on UGE Tube. So all those people going to Utah this month, leave us some feedback over on the UGE Tube, the Utah Gun Exchange Tube, where we post these and others of our 2A series over there. We got a lot of views, but not a lot of feedback. So I'm interested, if you're listening all the way through the show, give us some feedback. Leave a comment over there. If you're listening on the GunTube or on GunStreamer, same thing. We read all the comments, so leave us some feedback. It gives us, like I say, some heads up as to what platforms to keep posting on. And then hopefully it gives those platforms who don't get a lot of action some inspiration too. People that are poking around on one of those alternative platforms may not realize that people are out there going to respond to comments. They might think that that's our storage bunkers or something, and that they're never going to get an answer, so they don't bother to post. So by posting, you give people an opportunity to reply, and that might spark up a conversation. You might say something in your comment that gets somebody else to comment, and that might get the person posting videos to realize there's a reason to hang out over there. So no single drop thinks it's responsible for the flood. So just act sometimes, especially when it's to interact with other people that are real out there, not just our stuff, but think about all the other people out there that are real people doing stuff to share and to contribute, to participate in what's happening in the evolution of all this stuff. And it doesn't always there's no finish line. It's not like we can just take an Uber to the end. It's all about motivating each other to continue with the steady work. And we do it just like mowing the lawn, and just like snow shoveling, and just like just been doing some yard work when I started the show late, just like everything else that takes time and is a cycle. You do it in such a way that the next generation understands it's an awesome responsibility, and awesome not in the scale, it is a big scale, but awesome in the fact that we get this responsibility. We earned it, and we have an obligation to them and their next to do it in such a way that they get that message that it's achievable, it's going to be a challenge, and it's going to be satisfying. It's ultimately satisfying when we make wins, when we get victories. And it's not all victories. So anyway, it's just doing our thing. Appreciate the folks that are out there participating. Mark, thanks. See you out there. You'll be getting a bunch of cool stuff. I got another thing. So that means I can click this thing. So now it's a head-to-head, Mark and G23, because I didn't even put nothing in there this time. It's a true head-to-head. Who will win? Oh, and it's Mark. So I'm already going to throw in one thing. I've got it on your pile, the pile all knocked over here. But thanks for grabbing a bunch of the new patches. I got a little gizzard patch I'll show you here. Oh, wait, I'm grabbing the wrong thing. Let me pop this out and this over, even though he's quirking me right now. Came up with a couple of these. I'm still trying to figure out how to get the Velcro on them, because I made it before I figured out how to sew Velcro on it. So there's the prototype right now. But we also have these prototypes in a couple of colors. So there's only a couple of orders over there, and the people that did order are appreciated. You're helping us do what we're doing. So yeah, we'll throw a couple of these prototypes in addition to all the other stuff that's out there. And thanks again. So if you're listening to this in the future, thanks for showing up. Leave us some comments as I've urged you to. If you're out there right now, now's the time to leave some final comments. Let me get rid of this because that's super creepy. Get rid of this already. Well, that's even more creepy, and we'll just end it already. So again, if you've got any last comments, feel free. The numbers jump up and down. It's weird. So I don't know if when people are not moving their computer, it goes away, and then when they wiggle their mouse, the number comes back. I've never really put too much effort into discovering that, but I can see people wiggling around out there. So if you do have any final comments, let me know. Otherwise, we're going to jump out with a couple of announcements and say thanks for joining. We'll be back tomorrow and next week. GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
Tonight's episode, Triangle of Terror.
So let us know what you think. We'll be watching the comments wherever you find the video, over on gunstreamer.com or on guntube.org. Thank you for supporting our projects. If you'd like to buy us a cup of coffee, check out our Patreon channel.
The guys and gals of gunwebsites.com encourages you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thank you for watching gunwebsites.com.